Hello everybody, my name is Wes and welcome to the 43rd edition of the BS Podcast. This week, I don't know who the guests are going to be. This is going to be a free-for-all in the Discord server. I look forward to seeing how this goes. This could go very well or go very poorly. Who is to say? This will be a very interesting edition of the BS Podcast, but since I'm by myself for the time being, I do want to kind of chat a little bit about the things that are going on in my world. So, a very important thing for the podcast is I will be moving soon. Hopefully that is a sooner than later thing. I am very hopeful that it happens by the end of the year. We don't know if it will or not yet. It's still a very upcoming thing. We've been through this process since July, and funny enough, you'd think people would want your money as soon as possible, but funny enough, it seems like that would not be the case, because we're October 15th right now. That's right, the day this is going up is the day that I recorded it like a pro, and we're not even on closing yet. The trailer is built. The trailer is built and ready to be moved. What's left is to finalize the closing papers, get them signed, which is on their end right now. If it was just a matter of signing it, we'd get them signed. That is not the issue. But on their end, it's just like every single step of the process is them taking their time. So, you'd think, with all the money, that you'd want it as soon as possible and start getting your payments. But apparently, they're doing good enough that they don't need people's money immediately. That's very interesting to me. See how long they actually last doing things, because I'm sure that we're not the only one they're doing this to. So, once that happens, and we actually get the closing papers done, they still got to work on the land and get it ready for the trailer, and then we should be moved in relatively shortly after that is completed. Ever since January, I've been hoping by the end of the year it'll be nailed. I'm still very hopeful but by the end of the year, but this is on the clock. It's the middle of October at this point, and with still so many steps left and one that could take a lot of time, it is still a debate whether or not we will actually be moved in time or not. But we will see. Until then, I will continue to do the podcast, and once we get moved, what I want to do with the podcast, I'm still debating it, honestly. I've thought about doing it live and having it be video. That's been an idea I've had that I've tossed around to myself, because the podcasts I primarily listen to and enjoy, some of them are audio only that I'll listen to on Podbean, but others like Painkiller Already, the Digital and Dice podcast, Joe Rogan Experience, these are video podcasts that I consume on YouTube. And I've had the idea of, okay, maybe I could do it weekly live. But if I did it weekly live with video, one, having the video thing, I think that'll discourage some future guests, especially since I mostly have on smaller creators right now, and maybe that changes down the road. But right now I have a lot of smaller creators that may not be willing to have their face cam up, so that is a debate. Like Flirty, nobody had heard Flirty talk, actually heard his voice until he came on the podcast. That's kind of what made it so special when I first had him on, because nobody had heard him before. And I mean, that doubly goes for most people's faces. I couldn't tell you probably half, if I could tell you what they look like. The other half, not so much. That's not a definite thing for smaller creators. I've thought about having it be live audio, but at the same time, when it comes to a live show, it helps if it's at the same time. And something else I am happy with the podcast on, which could be a detriment, is I like the freedom of being like, okay, if I want this guest that lives in Australia, then maybe it's like, okay, we record at whatever time is good for them. My schedule is flexible. I don't have a job, so I can do it whenever is good for them. And I've taken advantage of that to get guests like Maid Mama, Mini Me, people that have a way different time zone. One from India, and if I did it live, I don't know if that would work, because either I have to not be as flexible, which could cost me guests, which, as I talked about the video thing, that could cost me guests, unless I just did their icon, which I could. That's definitely a possibility. And live, I'd still edit down for the... I don't edit a lot out, but I'll edit certain things if it makes sense. If it's like, okay, we had a few seconds break and I feel like it when listening to it, it's just kind of an awkward silence that doesn't need to be there, I'll take stuff like that out. I'm all good at editing that stuff out. Probably won't do this during my solo part, but it'll definitely be an interesting thing to see what happens once I get moved. Once I get moved, it should be better quality all around with the podcast when it comes to actually the guest, because it won't be Discord and my phone's 4G being like, okay, now we have issues, because anytime I'm talking to a guest, it's on my phone on 4G signal. So that's why occasionally there will be issues on my end, because 4G isn't the most reliable thing in the planet. But moving on from what the podcast future holds in my move-in situation, I will hope to update people as updates arise, but the survey just got done like 4 days ago, so we will see. That'll be a very interesting thing, something that's been going on for me, especially in the last week, a little bit past a week. You had Mario Kart Tour, which we've talked about before. I know I kind of repeat some of the things I say a lot, and I've been trying to get better about that. But Mario Kart Tour, I've continued to play. Honestly, it's kind of becoming less and less enjoyable for me. The Ranked Cup this week, for example, I just got first place, and nobody in the top 3 has changed in the past 5 days. Including myself, because I'm in first place by 3,000 points. So why do I need to do the Ranked Cup anymore? And I found the Tokyo Cups kind of annoying. Rainbow Road, that's not the easiest to get first place in, and that's kind of a drag. Tokyo Blur is also kind of a drag, because it just doesn't leave you open to getting a lot of points. And I talk about it a lot on my Discord. It's just not the best thing for me. I don't feel like I get all the enjoyment, especially when it's just I'm doing the cups, but they're not ranked besides the one, and I don't have, like, last week I had a lot of grinding to do to get from 12th to the top 3, because I wanted to be in the highest tier possible since I started playing. Apparently the highest tier is 20. I'm at 11. I don't know if 20 is the highest you can get for the month. I'd hope so, because I'm pretty sure I installed it on my phone week 1, and I've gotten in the top 3 every week. So I should be the highest you can get. Unless people had early access and could play before everyone else. That could be a possibility. While I am alone on the podcast, I will talk about the CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths. These CW and general TV shows, especially TV shows, creators, as I've said, Crisis on Infinite Earth. Tom Ellis, who is reprising his role as Lucifer Morningstar. I didn't watch that show. It wasn't something I was really tuned into. But apparently, he's going to be reprising his role as Lucifer for this crossover. This crossover is weird. We also know that the Not Teen Titans, that TV show that isn't even available on the CW, which I'm conflicted with them being on, because at least like Black Lightning, I chose not to watch that show because I don't want to watch that show. It didn't look interesting. It didn't look like my kind of show. Lucifer, that was before I started watching the CW shows. That had already ended or was next to ending, and I just didn't get into it because I was so far behind. Titans, you had to have the streaming service to do, and I don't have that. Not paying for that. So that's kind of weird for the Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's so bizarre to me because they've been playing this crossover thing as this huge main characters could die. And that's not normally a realistic thing for the TV shows. You don't really expect the Flash or the Green Arrow or Supergirl to suddenly vanish because, oh, what's your TV show? Well, we know Arrow is coming to a close soon, so the fact that we have this Crisis on Infinite Earths, and the Flash is so many years in at this point. I think it's season 5 or season 6, and while that's not a lot, it makes the possibility of them ending it that much more real. I don't feel like Supergirl's in any risk. I don't think Batwoman, excuse me, I try to say Batwoman all the time, but if you say it's Supergirl and then Batwoman, it comes out as Batgirl sometimes. That's fun. But Batwoman, I don't think she's at any risk. I hope that we're not killing off any more of the Legends of Tomorrow cast after what happened last season. I'm still not completely over that, and I'm going to need time to process that, especially knowing that a couple characters are not really going to be in the next season. I'm not sure how that's going to go for DC's Legends of Tomorrow, but I'm hopeful. I stay pretty hopeful on most TV shows. I enjoyed Game of Thrones when not many people enjoyed Game of Thrones. I crapped on Gotham's series finale, and I think that really helped me get through the Game of Thrones finale, because at the end of the day, Game of Thrones ending was a lot better than Gotham's. But with the Crisis on Infinite Earths, I feel like the more the characters they announce are gonna be in it, the higher the chance of it being a bust. Because, especially like with the Titans, if you don't have that streaming service, you're not gonna know who the characters really are. Sure, if you watch Teen Titans on the Cartoon Network back in the day, you'll have a general idea of who the four are, but this isn't the same thing, really. And Lucifer's show, that ended years ago, and it started way before that. So if you didn't watch that, you won't really know the character. And sure, that was kind of the risk bringing in Constantine for Legends of Tomorrow. And maybe that's why they are willing to do Lucifer, Morningstar's character, on this crossover. Especially with the Infinite Earths thing, I think they're going to play into that a lot for these crossover characters. Especially like Titans and Lucifer, I think those will be kind of different Earths. But I look forward to seeing how it goes. I hope they don't try to outdo themselves. But funny enough, this almost looked like their Avengers. As silly as that may sound, this is kind of like their Avengers, and that's very interesting to me. I don't think it'll reach anywhere near what the actual Avenger movies have done when it comes to quality, and obviously not money they'll make, because it's just going to be on TV. It's not a movie or anything. But it could be a movie if they really wanted it to be a movie. I mean, especially the way they've been hyping it and the way they did the crossover live. I enjoy the crossovers. I know they generally do it in a poor way to me. I don't think it should be, oh, this is Supergirl's primary episode and it's the first part. And then it's like, oh, the second is kind of Arrow's episode, but you have more crossover. And then it's, oh, this is Barry Allen, the Flash's crossover episode, and you kind of do that. I don't think that's the best way to go about it. But, fortunately, you know, we will see how they do it this year. I'm interested, because I think this is the first crossover that the Legends of Tomorrow cast have gotten to be in. They've always kind of written them off from these in the past. The next thing I want to talk about is 2 movie trailers I watched. I watched them shortly before the podcast aired, or before I started recording, you could say. Doolittle, which is Robert Downey Jr.'s first thing after the Avengers. Gotta be honest, don't think I'm gonna like this movie. Based on the trailer, not my kind of movie. Not something I'm gonna go out of my way to see, unfortunately. Sherlock Holmes, which is years ago. I didn't watch the second movie yet, but I mean, it even took me a while to warm up to that movie. Not because Robert Downey Jr.'s performance was bad, but because the movie was just kind of for the most part. Disney's Jungle Cruise, I also watched that trailer. And unlike Dolittle, I mean, there's not much to say about Dolittle. It didn't really have any dialogue, really, that was interesting to me. I mean, visually it looked fine. It has all these animals with all these big voice actors. John Cena, you know, a big wrestling fan, so John Cena. You got that going. I enjoy people commenting about Dwayne Johnson doing so many jungle-themed movies. That's amusing to me. So, Dwayne Johnson doing Disney's Jungle Cruise. I watched the trailer, and it wasn't a bad trailer. It was better than the Dolittle trailer to me. But based on what I've seen of the Jungle Cruise trailer, it looks like it's just an okay to fine movie. Like the Jumanji trailer and jungle-themed movies Dwayne Johnson's been in. The Jumanji movie trailers entice me so much. I can tell by the trailer most of the time whether or not I'll like a movie or not. And sure, you'll be wrong sometimes, but the trailer generally contains what the movie's kind of going to be like. And in this case, it looks like it'll be a fine movie, like a 3 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5, something like that. Maybe it could pull a 4 out of 5 out if it really shined high somewhere that I'm not expecting. Will I watch Jungle Cruise? Maybe. I don't expect we'll get Dolittle in this house. I don't expect anyone will want to see Dolittle. But someone may want to watch Jungle Cruise. That's a good possibility. So if that happens, then I will see Jungle Cruise, maybe. Apparently, a law in California, you can no longer shame someone in these California schools. It's now against the law to shame people over having school lunches. This is an interesting thing to me because with school lunches, I primarily ate school lunches for the most part. I consider we didn't have a lot of money. So, I guess I can kind of see that on one end, but at the same time, I did bring lunch with me for also a good portion. And for my high school days, which isn't... I graduated in 2016. So, I know things have changed in the last few years. Like the pledge, I know that was a big change. We had to do that cult pledge every day. I never did those, but that was a thing they tried to force on you. But with school lunches, that's a weird thing that apparently people are shaming people over, and apparently I read up on it because I never experienced or heard of anyone being shamed over school lunches. I mean, if anything, in my head, I'd think, oh, you brought your lunch and it's only something that someone would think would be cheap, then that would be the thing that, in theory, some asshole would be bullying people over, not getting a school lunch. Because school lunches aren't necessarily bad. I think school pizza's bad. But the chicken can be fine, you know, especially if you have something to dip it in. Because I went to, especially middle schools, I went to 3 different middle schools across 2 counties in different type of neighborhoods. One was a rich white school. It was called Siegel. And at Siegel, it was definitely more the rich white neighborhood type area. And that was, of course, better lunches. Then I went to one called Oakland, and that was more of the opposite, really. The opposite is what that primarily was. But still, the lunches weren't bad that I remember. I mean, I honestly don't remember much about that year. One memory I have from 7th grade was just when I went to that middle school. And it's always been something I've had dreams about before and after. As I've always had this paranoia of, okay, because I rode the bus for my whole school career, if you want to call it a school career, because, I mean, a force, or school slavery, since you're forced into it and you don't get paid. You can just call it school slavery, I guess. That won't be controversial at all. But I always rode the bus, and so paranoia I always had was, okay, what happens if I don't make it to the bus on time? And that happened in 7th grade. Cause I had a class, I don't remember what the class was, honestly, but it was at the very end of the school, and I got lost. I genuinely, 7th grade was a hard year for me. I was bullied a lot that year, and mentally I was just not in it. And personally, in home life, that was the year everything was exploding. So, that was definitely not the best time for young Wes, middle school, 7th grade Wes, to have to figure out how to get from one end of the school to the other in a timely manner, and I unfortunately failed. The bus had left without me, and that was awkward. That was definitely that. I don't even remember how that went. I know I was at the school for a while before I eventually did get picked up. But at the same time, I don't know if memories I have of that school are fake or not. I struggle, like, with Reddit. If I read any kind of paranormal thread, just for the interest, or any creepy story type thing on, like, Ask Reddit or whatever, I always discount any story from someone under 18 or telling a story from when they're under 18, because you can falsely remember things, and I've done that, but I've mostly caught it. And especially when you're going through a lot, I can see how that would happen more. So I don't know. I know the area is true. I don't know if the events are true. I know some events are true. Going from driving like 30, 40 minutes by truck, getting an icy on the way back. I love ices. I've always enjoyed ices. I don't know if anyone else. I don't know if ices are really a thing outside of the U.S. Be kind of sad if it wasn't. But I've always enjoyed the Coke ices. The other ones kind of upset my stomach, but I really like the blue one as well, and the cherry's fine. But the Coke one, that's the one for me. I always get that one nowadays. I try and have a few ices a year. As many as possible. I mean, had it daily for a while. Just because sometimes you live in an area where one's close, and sometimes you don't. But going back to school lunch shaming, I don't understand that at all. It doesn't make sense to me. I can understand that people are shitty, so I don't doubt that it's an actual thing. But to make it against the law? I don't know about that. I think that's kind of too far, because what's the punishment for this law? What happens if someone violates this law when... Because that's the thing. Kids aren't explained in detail, like obviously like murder, rape, the extreme things. Kids can, for the most part, get is, okay, this is illegal. But kids don't know laws. If you asked me to name 100 laws where I live today, I'm 21. I couldn't do that. I'd have to look it up. I mean, you could realistically not get in any trouble legally if you just try and do your best. If you're on your best behavior, you probably won't ever break the law. Except for speeding. A lot of people are weird about speed, and they have this false freedom, and when they're a kid, you have this false freedom, and then you become an adult, and I think you're ingrained with a false freedom of, this is just a rule, not a law. And then you want to bitch when your speeding fine is too much, but the speed limit is the speed limit, not +5 or +10. The speed limit's the speed limit, and in a Westocracy, I would absolutely give you a ticket for 1 mile over. I would perfect the technology so it'd hold up, and that would teach people, maybe not one. You can make the mistake with one, but like 3 or 4, probably 4. I'm a generous god. You can go 3 miles above, and I'll count that as a happy accident. But above 3 in a Westocracy is going to be a big speeding ticket for you. This is why there ain't no Westocracy, because I'd give weird speeding tickets. Marijuana breathalyzers expected to hit the streets in 2020. It's really interesting to me, because I've seen people discuss, like, okay, can you be high and drive? And I feel like the answer I have to most of these things is, should you drink and drive? No. Should you talk on the phone and drive? No. Should you text and drive? No. Should you do anything that can potentially leave you distracted if you don't have enough self-control? And most people don't have enough self-control. So yes. And so when it comes to getting high, even if it's just a stereotypical mellows you out, I feel like perfecting breathalyzers and pulling over people that you assume, or, well, if you're pulling them over, most likely, not in every scenario, but most likely, it's for an actual reason. So, if you're being pulled over, it's not because you're driving great. It's because you did something wrong, most of the time. They're expecting to hit the street in 2020. And I'm okay with that. I feel like, it'll also probably be the next step in federal legalization, which should absolutely happen. I don't smoke, I don't drink, but I don't see the harm in legalizing marijuana when alcohol is legal. I think it's silly. I think, well, marijuana probably will harm you long term. Some kinds of marijuana, not all marijuana. There are different kinds that do different things. And I'm not an expert in this, but I know some of it have good health benefits, and that's great. I'm happy. I think people should be responsible on their own to smoke what they want, and the consequences to smoking what they want, you should research it beforehand, but it's your personal choice as long as it's not majorly fucking you up and making you do stupid shit. But that's what laws are for, to help people that do dumb shit when they drink or smoke or do whatever drugs get in trouble. I just think that's kind of the hand-in-hand thing. Because, I mean, I don't know much laws besides, you can't have marijuana or what have you for drugs. So, things like this, that'll definitely be the precursor to federal legalization, which I think is a good thing, regardless of who our next president is, which I won't go into too much detail on. I'm sure politics is not the fan favorite thing to listen to. But I just hope whoever the next president is makes the next step, if not, does that final step to legalize it federally for the people that want to enjoy that. I don't see the harm in it. And there was a survey done that I found from 2018 that found 8 in 10 Canadians would go to work sick if their employer required sick notes for minor illnesses. And when it boils down to that, I can definitely see why. I mean, if you're not majorly sick, if you just have like a cold or a fever, you can take the steps on you can have stuff in the house, non-prescription, that's legal, that you can fix these things with. Does that mean just because you don't have to go to the doctor that it's not major enough to warrant you missing work? I wouldn't agree with that. I think you have sick days. You shouldn't need a doctor's note to use the sick days unless I could see like, okay, you're missing 10 days in a row or 7 days or 5 days or what have you, whatever reasonable amount. I think like a couple days, maybe even 3 days. I think that should just be covered under your guidance. I definitely think you could take 3 days to need to get better on something, sickness-wise. So I think people should be able to just not need a doctor's note for that. I mean, honestly, getting a doctor's note should be optional regardless. If you have a certain amount of sick days you can use, I think you should be able to use them, whether that's just a mental health day, which we've talked about before. There should absolutely be mental health days set back, but you should be able to use your sick days regardless of if you're actually sick. If you have this many sick days, we should stop slaving people away and work for the greed. Instead, give them their sick days and not complain and not hold it against them and actually just, give them their sick days and let them use them as they will. That's where I land on this. I think it's an interesting study, though. I think it will lead nowhere, the survey-wise, but I think you shouldn't require people to have a doctor's note for minor illnesses. But I think there can be a reasonable point. There's a meet in the middle, as I said, whether it's 5 days or what. For me personally, I think it'd probably be if you miss 4 days in a row. I could see that. I could see how that could be the middle line. You can miss up to 3 in a row without a doctor's note. But if it's 4, you probably needed to go to the doctor, so you probably could get a doctor's note. I feel like that would be the reasonable thing. That's meeting in the middle for the employer's sake and the employee's sanity. Not having to get a doctor's note for every day they want to miss with a sick day. Because this isn't slavery, this is just people working. Will Smith is apparently developing a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air spin-off series. I'm very intrigued with this potential spin-off series. I watched The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when I was a kid. Could I say I remembered everything about it? No, but I absolutely watched a lot of episodes as a kid. I enjoyed it. I enjoy Will Smith as an actor. I think he does a good work in most of the things he's in. I feel the same way about actors as I do musical people and TV shows and movies by studios. Not everything's going to be a hit. I don't think Will Smith has a 100% hit record. Aladdin was great. I really enjoyed Aladdin. But The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, also something good. And the spin-off, you could absolutely make it like a parody or kind of like what The Conners is from Roseanne. It's the same house, and I don't know if they'd have that studio house available. But if you did, then it'd be really interesting to have Will Smith play the uncle and be that version. Not the same character, of course, but he was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Now he's the uncle that's kind of out of touch. Now he has his own set of things to deal with kids. That could be a very interesting thing. I look forward to hearing what it's about. Will I watch it? I'm not sure. I will definitely look into it more when we know more information. Maybe watch a trailer. I watched the trailer for Nancy Grace, or not Nancy Grace, Nancy Drew. I'm pretty sure it's Nancy Drew. Whatever the detective woman is, whatever. Investigator lady, whatever. I haven't watched the first episode yet, but the trailer was interesting enough that I did record the first episode. I should watch that tomorrow, or today actually, in like 8 hours. That will be a thing, so hopefully that goes good. I look forward to it. I hope it's good. I enjoy the CW's TV shows. I hope this will be no different. It should be a good time. I watched Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm gonna avoid talking about spoilers, but specific spoilers anyway. I don't think I'll say anything that'll actually spoil the movie in any way. But when it came to the movie, because after Infinity War, you had Ant-Man and the Wasp, and that was, to be frank, a light-hearted, for the most part, filler movie. It didn't really matter. You could look at it now, and you could skip it if you were watching the whole series. It isn't really something major happened. This was huge character development. I mean, you could probably watch like 5 minutes of the movie and get everything you need to get from it. If that, you could probably just skip it. Really. The name kind of speaks for itself, honestly, with Ant-Man and the Wasp. And you could probably go by the name and the poster and know everything you need to know about the movie, unless you're going to watch Ant-Man 3. Because for the most part, he always plays the comedy guy in the Avengers movies. I don't get that. To me, Spider-Man's a bigger deal. But at the same time, I feel like Ant-Man, when it comes to realistically, is what Spider-Man can do that much cooler than what Ant-Man does? Kinda. But if they made Ant-Man a bigger deal, it's kind of like with Aquaman. I said for years, before we even knew an Aquaman movie was coming out, that Aquaman is better than Batman. And I stand by it. Before the movie came out, after the movie came out, I felt confident. When I seen the trailer for Aquaman, I was happy. This is what I always envisioned for Aquaman. You could make a big deal out of something that people think is a joke. And under the right circumstance, it can work. And it absolutely worked. Aquaman was a great movie. It is the best Aquaman, in my opinion, that we've seen. And I'm happy that Aquaman is a bigger deal today than he was before that movie came out or the trailer came out. Before we knew that what Jason Momoa would be starring as Aquaman, who is a big dude who could frankly eat the past Aquaman. He would eat the comic Aquaman so fast. Any other animated Aquaman, he'd eat them so fast. He'd completely destroy them. I enjoy that. Aquaman is still better than Batman. You can fight me over that if you want. But Aquaman is better than Aquaman is better than Spider-Man. I'll stand by that too. And when it comes to the Far From Home movie, I watched that a couple days ago. I watched it on Sunday. Today is Tuesday, so yeah, a couple days ago. Good movie. It started off bad. It was cringy to begin. It was a very cringy movie for the first, probably quarter. The first quarter of the movie is just like, no offense, but Tom Holland, 16-year-old Peter Parker gets on the nerves a little bit. Just because the high school setting isn't good. I don't like high school Spider-Man. At least with Tobey Maguire, It went from high school to college pretty fast, and that changed the dynamic. There was no high school environment. There was none of that. There was cringe, according to some people, especially in Spider-Man 3, but I think that was hilarious. Emo Spidey for the win. Andrew, whatever the fuck his name is, Andrew Jackson, Andrew whatever the fuck his name is. I didn't enjoy the Amazing Spider-Man movies. They're erased from my mind for the most part. Tom Holland is in the middle. And I think as an actor, Tom Holland can absolutely kill it. I just think the surroundings he is involved with isn't the best for the character. It's a long-term game, and I get that. I'll be happy in 10 years when Spider-Man is 18 and out of high school. That'll be the day. I think I'll like it a lot better. And I hope it's 10 years. I hope it's not longer than 10 years. We should be going pedal to the metal in 2021 with like 4 movies and multiple shows. So hopefully in like 10 years where Peter's 18, he's out of high school, all that's good. I'm hopeful for that. Continuing the movie though. I also dislike, what's his name? I don't know his, best friend's name. I don't like him. I think he's very annoying. The character. I don't have an opinion on the actual actor himself. I think he plays an annoying character. Whether he's designed to be an annoying character or not, I don't know. But personally, I think about any scene he's in and I'm like, what unfortunate accident could happen that could kill the character to this scene? And that's what I'm always thinking about in his scenes. Oh, is this happening to him? Oh, maybe he'll trip. Maybe he'll just land on his face and that'll be it. It won't happen, but I have hope that I don't have to deal with his best friend anymore. I like the best friend in the original Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire a lot more. I thought that was the actor better, which isn't fair to say, because I think the high school setting absolutely hurts everyone. And that thing, it makes it awkward, it makes it cringy to me. It's not good. But once we went pedal to the metal, Spider-Man Far From Home, this is no high school bullshit, although it kind of is. But once we got to the actual Marvel Cinematic Universe, Nick Fury, who was announced to be in the movie, so that's not a spoiler, Nick Fury, once we got to his parts, and we actually started telling the big story of the movie that isn't high school cringe drama, which it isn't all cringe drama. There was stuff in it I liked, but for the most part, not really, especially if it involved his best friend. But once it got past the first bit of the movie, and I think if anyone gives the movie a chance, because I feel like for most people, myself included, I went into it thinking, oh, this is just Ant-Man and the Wasp to Endgame. It's going to be a lighthearted filler movie. It's absolutely not. This is a movie with long-term repercussions. Not going to say what those are, but it's absolutely the movie that you want to watch before the next Avengers, whenever that is. We don't know when that could be 4 years away, maybe 5, but I think this is not a filler movie. Especially with what happened with the Marvel Sony stuff, it could also make it look like a filler movie. But if anyone's on the fence of watching it, you want to get through the first part. You want to grind away, just ignore the first part if you have to. But once you actually get engaged with the main part of the movie, what it's actually about, I think it's a good movie. I think it really redeemed itself in the final majority. The majority was good, just that first part that had a lot of heavy high school cringe wasn't for me. I've also been getting really into mobile games. That's pretty much what I talk about on my Discord nowadays, and I've gotten other people talking about like Moral Truth. He was on the podcast. We talk about Mario Kart Tour a lot. Well, at night when we play it. I talk about the games I'm experimenting with currently. In the past week, I have tried out Stardew Valley, which I haven't gotten very far in. I really struggle with the character models not being...
What have I walked into?
Satisfying. Hello! Is this what I think it is? We finally have a guest. You're very quiet.
I can fix that. I apologize for being so late.
It's all good. Let me turn my headphones up. We have a guest finally. I was just talking about mobile games. Hello, welcome to the podcast.
Fantastic. Actually, something that I was hoping that we would get to talk about on the podcast. I would have been here sooner, but some stuff came up, and I had to take care of that first, but I'm here for the remainder of it.
Welcome. I'm only 45 minutes in, and I've been talking about a lot of the more minor, non-gaming stuff. To recap to you, I talked about CW stuff that you won't care about. Did you watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yes, I did. I loved that show as a kid, and still do, actually. What am I saying?
Did you know Will Smith is developing a spin-off series of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
I have actually heard about that, yes, but I've heard about it, but I've not really seen anything on it other than just he's talked about it, or, the idea of it. I heard he was wanting to use his kid, though, and I don't know if I like the idea of that or not, because I don't really like his kid, being honest with you.
I have not heard about that. I would not like... See, this is why I enjoy... Because when I talk about it, I didn't know that. I hadn't read that. But his son, how many movies has Will Smith tried to put him in? I don't think the kid is the actor that Will Smith is.
No, by no means. His kid's trash. I'm sorry, but he is. He's not a very good actor, and his personality in real life is honestly kind of shitty, and I just don't think that he belongs in cinema, personally.
I agree. I personally agree. I'm also very glad you're here. I haven't taken a sip of my drink in 45 minutes, and my mouth was starting to get a bit dry. I can finally take a sip of my drink.
Drink away, dear sir.
It's like I have a stim pack. I just stimmed packed myself, and it's like, bam! I'm back in the game. I talked about a couple trailers that you probably haven't watched. Doolittle and Jungle Cruise. I assume you haven't watched either of those trailers.
No, I haven't.
Do you have any experience with school lunch shaman?
With what?
School lunch shaman, like you're in school.
Oh,
you get a school lunch, and people shame
I
you.
missed. Yes. Okay, so I personally speaking, never had that happen to me because I didn't even eat lunch. Honestly, like I ate lunch in elementary school, and then when I got to middle school, food was crap, and I said, "Nah, fam, we done with this," and I just stopped eating lunch. At middle school, I would just go to the table and sit down, put my book back on the table, and just kind of sleep. In high school, I didn't even go to lunch. Me and my friends just kind of messed around in the hallways and stuff like that until the teachers yelled at us.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that has been shamed over school lunch. I can get the mindset, though. I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure it happens a lot. But I never witnessed that. I was never a part of that. Though, as someone that was bullied a lot, I was never bullied about school lunch.
I have actually witnessed it. Yes, it didn't, like I said, it didn't happen to me, mainly because the people kind of knew better, per se. I was more or less the type of person, I never actually got into any fights, but I picked quite a few of them, and I got into a lot of people's face, and I was just like, hey, you fuck with me, you're getting a fist in your face, kind of deal. And people kind of got the idea of it. And so I didn't personally have any problems with it. And even if they would have tried that bullshit, I mean, again, I could just go up there and buy the lunch. It's not, they knew that I was doing it on my own free will. But there was this dude that in our school, his name was, you know, actually, for purposes, I'm not going to give out his real name, just in case he ever happens to see this. I don't, but okay. So he was a rather heavy-set guy, and he personally, he didn't really have any, I guess, clean clothes, and he kind of smelt bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I have reason to believe that his family was definitely on the more poor side, and it wasn't his own being that he showed up to school smelling like that.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I don't know. I didn't poke and prod into the situation, but I do know that when it came to school lunch, he would often ask the other kids if they could maybe give him something from their plate because he couldn't afford it. And he was often shamed for that. Now that I will say, even though I personally didn't really eat the lunch, I would give it to him when I did buy it. I didn't keep it in my account all the time just because it was a lot of money to be throwing away on me not using it. But when I did have the money in my account or whatever, I would take the lunch that I would get and I would give it to him or someone else that was hungry, and maybe someone else that was still hungry after they ate theirs or something like that. I would give it to others. I know that a lot of times he did get made fun of because he wasn't, because of the whole school lunch thing by other students. Our cafeteria ladies themselves never actually shamed him for not being able to afford the lunch, as our principal, vice principal, and even some of the teachers were very strict on school bullying. And at the time, our principal, his name was Mr. Griffin, bless that man's soul, he's the best school principal ever. If he caught any hint of bullying from anyone, teachers or students alike, they were dealt with. I actually had my science teacher got fired because of it. Because not for school shaming, or not for lunch shaming, but because of some other things I won't go into unless you just want to after the whole topic. But he didn't allow that to happen. And so this kid wasn't school lunch shamed by the teachers or the staff or faculty, whatever you want to call them, but by other students, yes, and only when the principal didn't see it or wasn't there to, defend him.
Wow. That's really good of him. That's a good environment to be in. The schools I went to were not very like that at all, unfortunately. But it's really good that there are people like that. Hopefully there are more people like that now.
I like to hope so. I would love to believe so. I really would. But we live in a twisted world.
Absolutely. To go full circle, school lunch shaming is banned now. It's against the law in California. And I went into my thoughts on this, and to recap shortly for you, I felt like making it against the law is a weird thing for schools. Especially when you're that young, and you don't... How many laws can you name right now? If you had to just guess a number, how many laws could you name right now? And get them right.
That just exist in general, or
exist where you are currently? Laws you have to follow.
Okay, well, I'm gonna keep it real with you here, Wes. Before I got out of high school, I started down the road to become a lawyer. So there's quite a few that I could actually name to you. So I'm a bit of a special case here. But
okay. But you see my point, where average
I get the gist
person, even adults, unless they have to take like a test for it, like to get your license or whatever, I couldn't name very many. I can't name pretty much any law besides, these are some of the laws of the road, but I don't drive, so that's not really a thing for me. But to have laws for kids, when it comes to like school lunch shaming, I think that's a bit far. I could see making it a state rule that you punish for individual schools, but I don't know making it a law.
Now, when you said that they made it a law and they made it illegal, are you sure it was for the students and not the staff? Because there has been several instances throughout different states where it has been the faculty and staff members working in the cafeteria that's been the one to shame them, not the kids. This has been a actual pretty big problem amongst schools. California, I know, had a really big problem where the kid would get lunch in the event they wouldn't have the money for it. The lady working there taking it up would take his tray and throw it away and give him a lesser quality food than everyone else would get, making it known that he couldn't afford lunch. Like, for instance, there was a kid, I can't remember what grade he was in. I think it was second grade. Maybe he was in kindergarten, or not kindergarten, but elementary school, I believe, at the time still. And he didn't have the money in his account, so the lunch lady threw away his lunch and gave him a jelly sandwich and made him eat that instead because he didn't have the money for lunch. And that's how the whole school lunch shaming come to be. So when they made it a law, it might be a law that makes it so the staff working there can't do that anymore.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't think I considered that. That would make a lot more sense. That would make a lot more sense. That'd be the more reasonable thing to do if it's for adults and not kids. I guess I just didn't look at it from the adult side of the school and just the student perspective. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's probably what's actually the case with this. That definitely would make more sense. Also, we talked about, and I assume you would agree with this, 8 in 10 Canadians, based on a 2018 survey, would go to work sick if their employer required sick notes for minor illnesses. So if you missed a day and you're taking a sick day, you would need a doctor's note for that day. And if that was required, 8 in 10 Canadians said they would just go to work sick.
I mean, I see that happen every day, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Because both of the jobs that my parents work at, neither of them work at the same place, obviously, but both of them work at separate companies, and both of them have a point system. And the only way to not get a point is if you have a doctor's note saying that you was, at the doctor sick. But the problem with that is, even if you don't get a point, you still lose the whole day pay, and you still have to pay the doctor. So you're losing money from having to go to the doctor. So unless it's a very serious illness, strep throat or something even more so that requires you to actually have to go in, people are just going to go into work sick because they're losing too much money to not do it otherwise.
Yep. I described work as slavery. I also described school as slavery at one point during this initial 45 minutes.
I missed a lot.
You did. You really did. You missed 45 minutes of me just rambling on about various things. Hopefully not repeating myself too much, but in my own personal echo chamber as it was, I did my best with what I had. What else did I talk about? Anything else before you got here? I think that was about it. I just started going into mobile games, which I talked about Mario Kart 2, which you're not really super plugged into. You told me right before I started getting ready to record that you finally, and this is an update to a past podcast you're on, you finally have gotten engaged in old school RuneScape.
Yep, finally bit the bullet, finally downloaded it. I played old school RuneScape. I'm not sure if I talked about this the last time I was on the podcast. I played it a long time ago, and at some point I just got tired of playing it. I got bored of it. There was so much stuff coming out. I didn't have the time to keep up with it, and I was just like, all right, I'm kind of over this. And I was on the Bungie forums when Destiny 1 released, and there was some guy on there, and he's like, hey, I'm looking for an old school RuneScape account that's already got progress made on it. I don't want to restart from scratch, and I have these codes. I'll trade you for them. And I was like, okay. So I messaged him. I'm like, what kind of code you got? And he's like, I have, they're for the Gears of War games. He's like, I have a code. They're Xbox 360 codes, and it's a download code for every one of the Gears of War, 1 through Judgment. And he's like, all I'm looking for is a RuneScape account that is, not at the starter. It's kind of a bit in. And I told him, I'm like, well, I was like, I have an account. It's not super far in. I said, it's not like crazy. I didn't have a whole lot of progress on it, but I think I was around the level 30 mark, 40 mark, something like that. I was like, I've done some stuff on here, and I don't play it anymore. I was like, we can do the trade, and he's like, oh yeah. So he gave me the codes. I gave him the account. We went about our business. Fast forward down the road a good, because that was like back in 2014, 15, fast forward 4 or 5 years. And here I am starting back up RuneScape again. It's like, man, I kind of wish I had the account, but I got a lot of joy out of those Gears of War codes. So I don't know.
Good trade. I would not list what your username is, just in case anybody that isn't listening from Jagex were to hear that, because I'm pretty sure that trade you made, definitely against terms of service.
It is.
I'd bet on that.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. But, it made sense for you at the time.
Yeah,
I think you didn't get very far into your new session. Did you get through Tutorial Island?
Yeah, I got through Tutorial Island. Actually, kind of funny story about that. I got through the Tutorial Island, and then Leon from the CMG server, because I was talking about old school RuneScape in there and how I downloaded it and bit the bullet and everything, and Leon, he pops up and he's like, what's your old school RuneScape name? And I told him. He's like, all right. So I added him and everything. When I got to the main LAN, I just finished Tutorial Island, and he pops up and he's like, dude, he said, I'm not gonna lie. He said, I'm so freaking high right now that I can't even play old school RuneScape. And he got off, and I was like, I guess that's a good place to call it. So I got off too.
How high do you have to be? Did I skip over the marijuana breathalyzers during the recap for you?
Yeah, you didn't say anything about that.
Okay, well, to go back, I guess, since you brought up that Leon was too high, where is it? Marijuana breathalyzers are expected to start hitting the streets in 2020. Apparently, he would not fare too well with that breathalyzer.
No. And
I wonder what the level of impeachment would be for marijuana.
I don't know, as I don't actually know. I don't actually know. I don't know how you measure highness.
Same. I mean, I wouldn't understand the technology behind how the alcoholic breathalyzers worked either, but, I mean, they do what they do.
Well, I think because of the chemical that's in alcohol, I think what it is when you breathe into the breathalyzer, I think it detects the level of that chemical that's coming off of your breath. So I'm guessing the same concept works for pot, but I don't understand how you determine if someone is too high or not.
Well, I when I talked about it, I said, most likely, of course not always, if you're getting pulled over and you end up having to do the marijuana breathalyzer, it wasn't because you were driving perfectly. So,
yeah,
that's probably step one to indicating whether or not someone is over the whatever the limit would be set to. I also talked about how marijuana breathalyzers is probably one of the precursors, especially making laws about it, to making it federally legalized.
I'm still iffy on the whole I think that each state should decide whether or not it's legal for recreational use, and then for medicinal, just have it completely legal for anyone.
Yeah, I can see that. I know that'll split people based on more than likely if they smoke or not, how passionate they'll be on the topic, or if they know anyone that smokes. But I feel like either way, I don't really care too much. People can do what they want.
I mean, only reason I say that is because I have a buddy who smokes, and he has gotten to the point now to where he stays so high and smokes so much that he's on the verge of losing his job from it. And if it was, I feel like it's not even legal in my state either. But I feel like maybe if it was legal, if our state was to make it legal, maybe he wouldn't smoke quite as much per se, just because I don't know. It's a tough call. Like, he smokes a lot.
He's not rebelling
now.
anymore.
Yeah, it's not really. It's really one of those things where it's like it's legal and he can smoke it wherever, whenever he wants, kind of deal. And I feel like he probably wouldn't smoke it as much, knowing that it's legal and he can just smoke it whenever, because he doesn't have to worry about getting caught or something. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I feel like if it was a state by state decision, I feel like we would see different results than if it was just completely legal entirely.
But if you didn't federally legalize it, then you'd have states like Alabama or Tennessee that are never, ever, ever gonna legalize that shit on their own.
Yeah.
By the way, an hour and almost 7 minutes in. Second Dr. Pepper.
Fantastic.
Feels like every week I'm opening a Dr. Pepper mid-podcast. If I went in with a full cup, things would be different. But I keep starting out with a halfway cup. And I can go a full cup with a podcast. But if it's a half cup, I'll have to open another one. And that's what I've learned recording the podcast.
I don't know. You started with a brand new one, that one that we done, and you still had to open one up.
Well, to be fair, those were longer than the average podcast.
That is very true.
I mean, this is probably going to be your shortest appearance.
Definitely.
Because this isn't going to be the super long episode. I have to be up at 10. It's 3:09 now, and I still have to edit this podcast. But we'll go until I'm out of topics. So, however long that is, will be the remainder of the podcast. But, to wrap back around in mobile games, Call of Duty Mobile is a big game that we have both played together on the Discord. And Call of Duty Mobile has had the best launch of any mobile game ever after generating more than 100 million downloads worldwide in its first week. 100 million downloads. That's pretty impressive.
There's freaking advertisements. They get you, man.
Now, what I do want to comment, because they do show that, like, oh, this is how many matches have been played. Last I seen, it was just under 400 million, and that may or may not have been after the weak point. It was definitely after the weak point, I'm pretty sure. But that's considering a game holds, 10 plus people? So that's a lot. That's assuming everyone's at least playing 4 games or more in the first week. And
I mean, it's really fun, and it's honestly, it's one of those things where it's like you can just kind of pick up and go, and it's really hard to. I mean, it's really hard to dislike it.
See, I went into it, as people will know, and as I've talked to you about, my last Call of Duty experience was Black Ops 1 on the Nintendo Wii. And hilariously enough, I'm so much better on the phone than I was with the Nintendo Wii. So I'm gonna give the mobile controls a thumbs up. If you sucked with the Nintendo Wii, if you were one of the few people that played on the Nintendo Wii, there was a bunch of us out there though. If you played on the Nintendo Wii and you weren't good, or maybe you were good, you'll do even better on mobile. I have a good feeling.
See, as someone who used to play Call of Duty competitively, I was a competitive sniper, and I used to play in tournaments and other things. I'm significantly worse on mobile than I am elsewise. But
you play competitively and probably on proper consoles.
Yes.
The nunchucks and the Wii thing, not the ideal.
No. I did play it on the Wii one time though, and I didn't do bad.
Probably did a lot better than I ever did. And the only thing so far with Call of Duty Mobile, because they've done the 7-day, we're introducing free-for-all for 7 days. They also, for 30 days, brought in gun game. And I enjoy the variety of modes. And I wish it wasn't just 7 and 30 days. I wish they'd stick around, and I hope they come back for free. When it comes to, of course, all mobile games are the biggest profit thing there is for gaming. So obviously they're gonna have some kind of, pay this for this. I've not been tempted at all. I don't feel disadvantaged by not paying anything. I'm not gonna pay anything in Call of Duty Mobile. I feel pretty good just playing the game. I feel like, honestly, based on the games I've been in, for my level, I think I'm above average. Based on how I've done in every game.
I don't feel disadvantaged by not paying for anything, but if an Activision, if you see this, if you hear this, lower the price of the Battle Pass, and I'd cop that shit. Honestly, if it was like,
what is it now?
It is currently $10.
Ooh.
And for a mobile game, that is I have paid more money before for something in a mobile game. Yes. I went Wild Warrior mode one time before. Yes. But I feel like for it to be a mobile version of Call of Duty, a battle pass for $10 on the phone is too much. $3 to $5, I feel like, is a perfectly reasonable amount.
I can agree with that. I think that'd probably help them make more money in the long term. Because, I mean, that's the thing. If you drop it this much, will you have that many more people paying for it to make it balance out? Probably in this case, since there are 100 million downloads worldwide in the first week. That number is going to continue to rise.
Well, you got to think. Okay, so let's put this into perspective. Let's say that you have 2 people buy the battle pass. That's $20. But then you got about 10 people like me who, let's say it was, $3 as opposed to the $10 that bought it. Then that would be $300 instead of, 2-3 people buying it because it's 10, you're getting 20-30 off of it. But then you lower it down $3, $3 to $5, and you got 30 people now buying it. You're going up a substantial amount. That if it's $3 with the 30, that's now $90, $100 with tax. And then if you have it 5, that's $150 as opposed to your 20-30, because there's more people willing to spend a smaller amount to get something than a larger sum. That's just how it is.
Absolutely. And to also put it in perspective, when it comes to reviews on the mobile game, when I was first seeing it, because I didn't get it day one, trailers and like YouTube videos maybe want it. Talking with you also maybe want it. But in the first couple days on the Google Play Store, it was at a 3.4. And if a game's at a 3.4, or even like if it's in the 30s, probably not going to download it. Just being honest, probably not going to download it.
I don't download anything that's a 4.1 and lower.
Makes sense. And it was at a 3.4 in the first couple days. Right now at 3,575,795 reviews, it has 4.7 stars on the Google Play Store out of 5. It is a It is. It's a very fun mobile game. I really enjoy it. I played it 3 nights with you and a friend.
You're welcome to say his name if you want.
Okay. I didn't know if he'd want me to or not.
He don't care. He actually streams on Twitch.
Oh, what? Shout him out?
I'll have to get. I'll shout him out in a minute. I'll have to go get his name.
But as you do that, we've played Call of Duty Mobile multiple nights in a row, and my only complaint, and as long as you have enough game modes, it buys you time. As long as you keep giving me free for all gun game, I want one in the chamber. I want to see that come. Gun game is really fun. I enjoy. Honestly, I don't dislike any of the game modes necessarily. I probably won't play much domination. Search and destroy, that's one of them, right? I enjoy the slow pace of that.
So I got his name, and my buddy that streams, that we have played with, his name is, it's kind of funky. It's supposed to be Mr. Wee or Mr. Y or whatever, but it's spelled MRRWY. No spaces, all together.
So you want to go check him out on Twitch?
Yes, if you would like to go check him out, he does stream a fair amount. Usually whenever he's bored, not at work, he likes to stream. He said he wants to stream more in the future. He just doesn't have the time for it right now. But he's a good guy. Go check him out.
I absolutely agree. I've enjoyed gaming with him. I've enjoyed the game nights, especially with Call of Duty Mobile. It's been fun. As I said, I've enjoyed the game modes. I want more maps. Especially like when we play Team Deathmatch over and over for a few hours. The maps start to get old. I get tired of playing the same maps. But as long as I spread it out, I play different game modes. I need something to change. For my long-term Call of Duty Mobile benefit. I need to switch over to Battle Royale maybe for a couple sessions. I need to switch to this or that. Or at least just shake it up. Doing the same mode with the same maps. They need more maps. That's where I'm at. I enjoyed that my first ever game was Nuketown. I think that really helped. It was a map I was familiar with. I used the technique that I failed at doing in Black Ops on the Nintendo Wii because I wasn't good. I more so successfully did it in my first game and won my first game. Which is funny, I feel like in PUBG Mobile I won my first game and then I got shat on in the following game. Something I don't like about Call of Duty Mobile, and I'm sure this isn't original to Call of Duty Mobile, I haven't played any of the Call of Duties since Black Ops 1, but zombies in the Battle Royale mode, it appears to only be in a certain area of the map.
That is
that
not
I've noticed
new. That
them
was in Black Ops 4. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I was sure it wasn't original to this, but not a fan. Zombies not optionally in Battle Royale. I do want the zombies mode. I assume that's what the third thing is. It's because you got Battle Royale, you have multiplayer with various game modes, search and destroy, domination, team deathmatch, be the team deathmatch where you just spawn in the base, whatever they call it, front line. Gun game and free for all. I enjoy those. I enjoy the Battle Royale. And I want to try out zombies. I can't wait for zombies. I want to see how that goes. But when it comes to mixing zombies and the Battle Royale, not so much for me. I will avoid that part of the map if all possible that I've noticed them in. Hopefully they're not actually everywhere in the map, but I've only noticed them in one area, so hopefully it's just one contained area. Because that was how I died in my first Battle Royale game, was by zombies, because I didn't expect that. You don't see them on the minimap. They caught me by surprise, and it was like 4 or 5 of them. And I was just unprepared. And I died because of it. I was like number 50-something, and I felt like, huh. And then I won my next game. So
I would like to point out, even though you don't really like it, I understand that. They actually do serve a purpose. And killing the zombies can give you ammo, guns, and if you kill enough of them, there is supposed to be a boss that spawns in, and if you kill him, he actually gives you a copy of the ray gun to use outside of that area. You can carry it with you throughout the rest of the map as a actual gun.
Oh, well, that's interesting. At least it makes more sense that it actually serves a purpose.
Yes.
I can accept that. But as someone that was unprepared for that surprise, having only played PUBG Mobile, that's my whole Battle Royale experience, I was not prepared for zombies in a Battle Royale. It caught me by surprise and killed me, and I wasn't a fan of that.
That's understandable.
At least it has a point. And I can't wait for actual zombie mode. That I think that'll be fun to play with friends as well. But as I was talking about, as you just got here, I've been trying out a lot of mobile games lately. I've been trying to get more into it. My server is basically mobile game talk at this point, and I'm pretty okay with that. It's amusing to me.
I mean, mobile games are fun to play. The people who play them exclusively may be considered the butt end of gaming, but I mean, they're fun. I mean, they are fun to play, and it's not really fair to knock the people that play them because even I get the whole gist or the understanding behind it, like, oh, mobile gamers aren't real gamers or whatever. I get the understanding why it's there, but I don't think it's fair to knock people that play mobile games because they're great time killers, and some are pretty damn fun.
And mobile games are getting better. Like, most mobile games aren't for me. The majority of mobile games are not for me. But mobile games I enjoy, which I think is what I was talking about right as you arrived. I'm pretty sure that's exactly the sentence I was going off on, and got sidetracked on, because I finally had a guess. But like Digimon Re-Arise, I played that once. It's still on my phone. I didn't dislike it, but for me, mobile games, there's 3 categories for me. Multiplayer that I want to play in a group, that I'm not going to try out on my own. You have those. And then the single player games, you have one that I can listen to while watching a podcast in the picture-in-picture mode, because the picture-in-picture will take up part of the screen, a small corner. And like Digimon Re-Arise, Final Fantasy, Exodus, whatever the fuck it's called. I enjoyed the little I played of those 2 games, but they're not games that I could really effectively play without having to constantly move the picture-in-picture. So I just listen to my audio podcasts as I play them. I'm always listening to a podcast as I play these games. Harry Potter, Hogwarts Mystery, I think it's called. I enjoy that one as well. It's also on the list of audio podcasts. And for me, I'm never tempted by, you only have this much energy, but you can give us some money and we'll fix that. I'm okay not spending hours on a mobile game. I'm good switching up. Like, I hit my XP limit in Mario Kart, and that's all the Mario Kart I'm gonna play for the day. I'm pretty good with that, you know? It helps me play other mobile games, like old school RuneScape, which apparently I need to add you now. That'll be a thing.
Yep. Give me stuff, Wes.
I just sold all my stuff to make up for the money on the failed video.
Okay, make stuff and give me stuff.
Make stuff to get... Makes sense. Can't argue that. I have all the pro tips, though. Unless it's to making money. I've never been good at making money. That's never been a skill I've had in RuneScape. Cause I feel like to get money in RuneScape, you gotta do combat. And I'm more into combat now that I'm on mobile. But when I was a kid playing RuneScape, combat was my least favorite thing to do. So I never really had all the money in RuneScape, both then, and I haven't gotten high enough a level to kill the good drop stuff for old school RuneScape. But I'm getting close, so that'll be a thing. I've played a game called Harvest Town, which it kind of like Stardew Valley, but a little bit different. And I'm pretty iffy on it at this point. At first, I thought I'd really like it. And there are elements I like. But there are also elements I don't really like about the game. That they don't explain things well enough, like what. There's this, 0/100 thing that'll go up and down, and I don't know what that does. They didn't explain to me what that does. And I'm confused what happens when it hits 0, so I get to 12 out of 100. I didn't notice it going up or down, and I'm just like, I realized that I don't understand a lot of what's on my screen right now. They didn't explain it properly. But it is in, it's super early access, so that could change. I think it's in, beta or whatever. It's, one of the first versions of the game. That could possibly change, so I'm keeping it on my phone to see how that goes. Of course, Mario Kart and Old School RuneScape, I play those a little bit every day. Finally starting to play more Old School RuneScape since I am no longer selling stuff. I've been selling stuff for 2 weeks now. And then, Stardew Valley, which, I think I was in the middle of saying, I wasn't satisfied visually with my character, so I'm starting anew, tonight, and, changing that.
Stardew Valley might be one of my top 10 games of all time at this point.
And I hope there's a way to change the control, because it's one of those where you have to get to the other area, you have to press all the way to the corner, and that can sometimes take 2 or 3 tries, and I hope there's a setting to change that. I'd much prefer arrows in a situation like that, and I'd really hope there's an option for that, but if there's not, oh well, no game's perfect. But mobile gaming, I think it's definitely on the rise. I've been enjoying especially the Harry Potter game, as cringy as some of the dialogue can be. I enjoy the actual game itself. It's amusing to me. And there's options. There's options on how to handle situations. The story it's trying to tell, I hope to see how that eventually goes, and how that, because the game takes place after Voldemort had attacked Harry as a baby. It takes place after that. That's where it's at in the timeline, so you have Dumbledore, Snape, and all those characters you'll recognize. Because it takes place when Harry was still a baby, way before he ever could be in Hogwarts. So, I thought that was a good time to put you in, to bump you in at. But it's absolutely one of those games where if you don't pay, you won't play for hours. I think probably about an hour, maybe 90 minutes will be the most you'll get to play at a time before you run into whether it's an energy issue or a You can pay gems, which you can get gems on your own, but not at a super fast rate. To make this go faster, otherwise you have to wait a certain amount of time. But that don't bother me, but I understand why it'd bother other people.
As you know, I've been playing Smite Blitz a lot, and I like how they have their energy set up on there. So far, I have effectively been able to sit down. The other morning, actually, for example, I sit down and I played Smite Blitz for 3 hours straight without running out of energy or stuff to do.
Very nice, very nice.
I was more than impressed at that.
I would be too. That's a good amount of time to be playing.
And you get one energy back every 6 minutes. So it's not like. Honestly, okay, so from what I've seen, most things on there that I've encountered, because I've been playing it a lot, and from what I've seen, myself personally, most things take 6 energy to use to do it. 6 to 12, 12 being the max that I've encountered.
Yeah.
You start off at level 1 with 180 energy. Every time you level up, it refills your energy and gives you a higher energy pool. I'm level 35 and sitting at 240 energy.
Very
They
nice.
also have it set up to where you can over energy by any amount. And that is honestly pretty fantastic. Like right now, I'm sitting at 310 out of 240.
That sounds like a good deal. Harry Potter, the Hogwarts Mystery, not the AR game. It also has a similar type thing when it comes to, it's 4 minutes, you get 1 energy back. I don't know if it goes up by levels. I'm level 2 currently, so I wouldn't know. You can over energy, though, from what I've seen. You can only max it back up with a level up or what have you. But I mean, at 4 minutes for 1, I think it goes up to like 32. So, within a couple hours, you're back up anyway.
I mean, that's pretty good, honestly. I mean, I have no quarrels with that.
And it'll notify you whether or not you like the notification or not. It'll notify you that, okay, your energy's full. So, I mean, you can play it until you're out of energy, get to a point where you can stop, and then it'll tell you when you're good to go again. If you want.
That's nice. I mean, it's good that they do that.
Yeah, I think so. Did you know that a new feature in the Steam beta is going live on October 21st? Steam will be adding a new feature called Remote Play Together, allowing local co-op and multiplayer-only games to be played over the internet. It's really cool.
Wild.
If it works, it's really cool.
I mean, that's dope. That's dope as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, how many games? I'm sure everybody can come up with a few games. It's like, man, if it was just actual full co-op or multiplayer, it'd be really cool, but I can only play with people that are here with me where I'm at. So it's just kind of holding the game back a little bit. I feel like this remote play together, if it works, I mean, that just helps games that has the local only.
Yeah. That's an interesting concept, though.
It is. I hope the feature works. If it's buggy, hopefully they fix it. I look forward to hearing how it goes. It releases in 6 days. So hopefully the reception is good. I'm glad they're working on it. I never really put much thought into if they could fix that, but apparently Steam either found the way or is working on finding the way.
Hey, good on them. You know what?
Yeah, good.
100%. I support that decision. The concept's a bit weird though, I guess, because there's some games that I feel like that could break.
Name an
Depending
example.
on, because a lot of like local co-op games or whatever, they don't account for having an actual, I guess, like server to run on. It's more peer-to-peer connection because it's local, like local co-op using the same internet. So without there being servers, I imagine there could be quite a bit of lag issues involved with that. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's just kind of something that immediately comes to mind.
That is very fair, but with it being on PC and you can adjust more of that stuff, probably. Hopefully you'd be able to fix that.
See, I'm not really sure because even being on PC, it's not like you can make your internet better.
I mean, that's why you just get a hammer where you live and you just start banging on the internet.
Oh yeah, because that fixes stuff.
Of course, ask old people. That's how you do it. You just get a hammer, you slap it a few times. Imagine how many people have broken their new TV that are old and they used to slap those big, heavy TVs a lot to make it work. But then you have these skinny, bigger screens that cost a lot more and they slap it on the back and it just falls over and breaks.
I create every time.
Fortnite revenue drops 52% year on year in Q2 of 2019. That is a huge drop.
Good riddance. Fuck Fortnite. Dude, I hate Fortnite so much. I don't hate the game either. It's the player base. I hate the people that play it because they're so...
I have a counter to this. If Fortnite dies, where do you think those players are going to go?
I don't care where they go. They can go under a rock.
They're going to go to a game you like.
No, they probably won't.
How can you be sure?
All right, so you got to think most of the freaking Fortnite players that are currently playing Fortnite, they're playing because of what it is. And there's not really any other games out there like it. And a lot of the games that I enjoy playing, Fortnite players actively hate them and talk shit about. I'm safe. Because I know that I've talked to quite a few Fortnite players, and really the only game that I can think of that I enjoy playing that they might end up on is Call of Duty. I already know they ain't going to play Battlefield. They ain't good enough for that. And then I play a lot of RPGs, MMOs, and stuff like that. And I know for a fact they ain't going to end up on that either because of Fortnite being a shooter. And then, realistically, they might go back to PUBG because I know that most of Fortnite's player base come from PUBG. So, I mean, they'll probably go back to PUBG, and I don't really play that very often.
Very fair. Very fair. It'll be interesting. I wish, because I specifically looked, I wanted to know how much money that is. Like, did they drop 52%, but they're still making a huge amount of money. I mean, either way, the 52% drop hurts. But I wish I could have, had the number. Like, how much money they made with a 52% drop.
Fortnite makes a lot of money.
Exactly. So, even losing 52% is, I assume that's still a huge amount of money. But
yeah,
52%.
I don't know how much they actually made, but...
You know who also made a lot of money?
Uh, Bill Gates.
Not quite. A man broke into Valve, stole $40,000 worth of equipment and games.
I mean, damn.
Yeah. He made 40,000 bucks. Well, not so much.
I'm assuming he ended up in jail.
Not yet. Apparently, he already had warrants out for his arrest for previous crimes. This wasn't his first. Wasn't his last. He was on camera at a GameStop trying to sell games. I don't know if these were games he stole from Valve, but he went to GameStop, got caught on camera trying to sell games. And as far as I read, he's still at large. So that's fun.
Yeah, that's wild.
Some people want to live on that dangerous life. The dangerous life is a life for everyone.
I'm just okay. So like, I saw it because we're talking about Fortnite, and the extent that Fortnite has gone to for this publicity stunt of their current deal it's bonkers. It's actually insane, and it's actually I think it's at the point where it's hurting them more so than helping them.
Apparently,
because people are tired of it. Okay, so here's the deal. In case you didn't know, so it appears that the stuff is brought back now, but freaking Fortnite, whenever the event happened, this was I think 2 days ago when it happened, and the game went down, no one could play it, and all that other stuff. On their Twitter, they deleted all their tweets, but apparently those are back now from the looks of it. But pretty much the game is unplayable, and they're not giving any updates. The only thing that they're doing right now, if you go to their Twitter, which I just looked at,
oh boy,
is a black hole.
Huh.
And it's just it was cool at first. Even I may not like the Fortnite community, but I've actually played Fortnite. I even give them motherfuckers money. I bought one of the battle passes because of this girl that I liked or whatever. She wanted me to play it with her, and I bought the pass to play with her, and it was so stupid on my end, whatever. Anyway, I've given them money, and I've played it. The events they do in the game, they're cool. Fortnite itself, it's not all bad. As stupid as that sounds, it's not all bad. Just the community's trash. But people, and like I said, this event they got going on right now, really cool. I think they've gone out a bit too far. People at this point are like, hey, that was hilarious. We're tired of it. Give us the game. We want to play. Because you got people that really did enjoy playing it. Whatever was fucking wrong in their head, they enjoyed playing it. And I think they're getting tired of it. I've been noticing on their Twitter more and more people have started, instead of saying, oh, this is cool, ha ha ha, more, give us the freaking game. We're tired of seeing this freaking black hole. We want to play now. It was cool what you done, but we're over it. We want to play. And there's still absolutely no word or anything about when the game is going to come back up or anything of the sort. And I do know that there's already been people that have already decided, I'm over this, and they've already moved on to other games, be it other battle royales or just other shooters in general. And even if Fortnite reopens, I know that from personal experience, once you're kind of over a game, you're over it. And it could take years to kind of finally be like, all right, I'll come back to it. But for the most part, when you're done, you're done. That's it. Done deal.
Absolutely, that is 100% fair. But a thing that I feel like is a pretty safe bet is Epic has been taking their Fortnite revenue and sinking it into everything else in the Epic Game Store and helping to make it so they're not just a one-game pony. So, even if Fortnite were to go down, I think they're they've used that Fortnite revenue they've already achieved, and what they'll keep achieving even if it continues to go down, to feed into everything else they're doing.
You know, Fortnite actually has a mobile version of their game when it's back up.
They do. Axel, linked me to it, and it's on my to-do list to try. Cause
I might download it and try it with you, actually. If they'll let me link my Epic account and get my stuff, I'm not starting over, but if I can bring my Fortnite account that I have on my Xbox and PC and such with me to my mobile to play, where I have my stuff, I might download it and try it with you.
yay, future game night, maybe, if they're not bad. But I suspect, with it being Epic, that they're gonna be bad.
Also, we're not doing any. See, now, something that I will think that's interesting is Fortnite's actually cross-platform entirely, so I could actually still, in theory, download it. I could play on my Xbox while you're playing on your phone. I don't know how well that would work for you, considering you're playing
I'd be okay with that.
console, and I don't know if any PC players would show up or not. I don't know. Okay, so I actually had a buddy who played Fortnite mobile, right?
Uh-huh.
And he said that was one of the smoothest controls that he's ever had for a mobile game. So apparently the controls for it are very nice. I don't know how well that is, but
I mean, I was fine with PUBG mobile controls, although I remembered why I uninstalled it in the first place. It's because for whatever reason, I get more lag in PUBG than I do Call of Duty by like 30 plus milliseconds at all times. So that's a problem. And when I installed it, in the last 2 weeks, you know how in some games you'll press the button to move and then it has that second delay before it moves? That was the experience I had. None of my movements were going at the same time I was pressing them. And I still did fine. I got like 4th place, but when I was done with the one battle royal game, I re-uninstalled it. And I tried changing settings during the game. I'd camp out somewhere. Apparently, I'd play it in a team. Oh, this is a good story. I'd play it in a team, and they wanted to use voice chat, but nope. Wasn't about that life. I was consuming a podcast at the time, which I also thought could have been the issue, and I tested afterwards, and it wasn't the issue. I was in a squad of 4. Didn't stay with the squad. They wanted me to parachute with them. I did not do that. I did steal their vehicle, though. I stole it and drove off. I muted them all in voice chat, so I don't know what they were trying to get across to me. Never worked with them. Got 4th place, though, and we all lived until, like, the top 5. It was just us. And we did win, but I did die. But it was fair. I wasn't at peak movement, since I was under that, like, second delay. That input lag, I think is what it's called. But comparing it side by side with Call of Duty Mobile, there are things I do like about PUBG Mobile more from a battle royal perspective. But at the same time, the playability absolutely is in Call of Duty favor. I didn't have the input lag last time, so something they've updated since then causes that, but I don't have any time for input lag, so I just uninstalled it and I'm done with it. But if Fortnite is, control-wise, as good as PUBG and Call of Duty, I'm good. I can play that.
I guess we'll just have to see if the game actually does come back. There are rumors that, there is 2 major rumors going on right now. One is that Fortnite's actually just going to shut down and it's not coming back, which,
Oof.
as happy as that would make me, I would also hate to see it happen. I would hate for Fortnite to actually shut down. And the reason for that is, again, I don't really like the people that play it because of I've met some very, very toxic players, and they are just the worst kind of people I've ever encountered online. And they're constantly trying to scam people and gain publicity off of it, and it's just, again, it's horrible, and it's they're trash. But at the
Yeah.
same time, Fortnite as a whole, the game itself, there's a lot of people that enjoy playing it. And I don't think it's really fair to just necessarily, just because I don't like it, or like the people, I don't think it's fair for me to say, hey, I want the game to shut down because of how many people do enjoy playing it. If the game was dead and had a few hundred people still playing it, sure, shut it down, get rid of that shit, wipe it off the face of the internet. But it still sees millions of players. Enough so, right?
They had the stream, because didn't they have a recent stream that was titled, like, The End or something? And I know that had 6 million concurrent viewers. I seen that. So, I mean, clearly, there's still millions of people interested in the game. So, I would not say right now is the time to get rid of it.
Definitely not. And again, I would hate to see it go, honestly.
What if they pulled a plot twist and they got rid of Fortnite and then immediately announced, welcome to Fortnite 2?
Okay, well, no, that would be cancer. That's got to go.
What if that's
2,
their new technique?
Fortnite 2 can never happen. There can never be another Fortnite 2 Electric Boogaloo. Can't happen.
Is that your nightmare? I assume it is.
Your mic cut out. I actually didn't hear you if you talked.
Is that your nightmare?
No, actually, my nightmare consists of another game getting a second coming, but just Fortnite. There's so much money has been put into Fortnite in terms of players, and just because of what it is, Fortnite 2 can't be allowed to happen. If it does, it will piss everybody everywhere off, and yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
So, speaking of games with crossplay, have you played Brawlhalla?
No, but Rag wants me to play that so bad he can't stand it.
Fun. Well, Brawlhalla crossplay is now live on the PS4. Sony, of course, last to the party. This means you can now crossplay with anyone on the PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. So, I assume they don't have a mobile version, but you can now crossplay with everyone. Sony people, congratulations.
Brawlhalla is a Smash-like game, correct?
No idea. Never played it. Never looked at it. I assume it's a fighting game. I just support games becoming crossplay friendly.
Dude, same. I think every non-PvP game should be cross-platform across all platforms.
Absolutely.
And the only reason I say non-PvP, or even games that have PvP in them, just keep it like based on what you're playing it on. And the only reason for that is because people on PC are some dirty cheaters.
Are you saying that when we were playing Call of Duty Mobile, that there were people that would cheat using their PC?
I think that's exactly what I'm saying.
I cannot believe you'd say such a true thing.
I know, right? The truth sucks.
It's hilarious with the kill cam.
Honestly speaking, if anyone watches this podcast and you're one of those Call of Duty mobile players that actually has to use a PC to play Call of Duty Mobile because you're that bad at it, uninstall the game, you're trash. Thank you.
Honestly, how pathetic do you have to be to cheat in a mobile game? Honestly.
Well, I've cheated in mobile games before, but not PvP.
How pathetic do you have to be?
All right, so hold on. No. I've not cheated in PvP mobile games. The ones that the cheating that I done was for single player content only. I would never cheat at a multiplayer mobile game because that's
fair.
That's pathetic.
I'm okay with that. You have the Westocracy approval there, but multiplayer wise, how much shame do you have to have?
I wouldn't want to find out. I would hate myself if I had to resort to doing something like that. Like, what joy do you actually get out of it? Realistically. Like, why do you actually think it's fun? Like, are you that bad at the actual Call of Duty games that you have to go and cheat in a mobile game to stroke your ego?
Apparently. Apparently so. And, we've heard rumors, and we all know the PlayStation 5 is coming. Well, since the last podcast, we've figured it out. The PlayStation 5 is set to launch in the holiday season of 2020, featuring new consoles with haptic technology and adaptive triggers. The UI of the PS5 is radically different than the PS4's in that it will give you updates of in-game activities/missions you can do next and rewards received from them, as well as the option to join matches in games, not just ones with friends, without booting the game first. Ray tracing support is in the hardware and is not a software solution. This is actual hardware. The SSD not only improved load times, but PS5 titles will support modular installation, such as only installing the single player and or multiplayer, or removing one or the other when you're done with it. The aforementioned haptic tech on controllers also comes with a better speaker and a larger battery, which I've talked about, meaning the controllers will be heavier, but not as heavy as an Xbox One controller with batteries.
Honestly, I hate PlayStation controllers, dude. I can't stand them. I hate the fact that you can't put batteries in them and change them. I hate the fact that they're rechargeable. I can't stand the fact that when the motherfucker dies on me, I have to stop what I'm doing and either go find a cord to plug it into to keep playing, or I have to stop using it entirely and get another one. With an Xbox controller, pop the back off, pop the batteries in, I'm good to go. I don't have to, and then the cord length or whatever, in the event that I don't have a long cord, I'm limited to game space or whatever. Like if I'm laying back on my bed playing my PlayStation, my controller dies, I now have to go and sit in front of my TV to plug in a cord because it's not long enough to reach where I was previously sitting. Instead of just being able to put the fucking batteries in and go about my damn day. I hate the joystick place. I hate the joystick placement on the PS4 controller. I hate how close they are to each other. And I hate the freaking stupid little share button that's on the PlayStation 4 controller because I always hit the stupid thing and it's always taking screenshots and sharing shit that I ain't wanting to be shared because I actually hit the stupid thing. Like, why is it even a feature? Xbox don't have that. Switch don't have that. Well, I think Switch has a share button, but it's nowhere you're going to accidentally hit the stupid thing. Like, literally, the share button on the PS4 controller is the exact same spot that the back button on the Xbox controller is, but they do entirely different things. Not to mention, it's also right beside of the sensor bar on the PS4 controller. So if you go to hit the sensor bar, you could accidentally hit the share button. Just fuck that controller.
Now, as you say this, I have picked up my PS4 and Xbox 360 controller. I am comparing it side by side right now. If there is video, people would be able to see this, but there's definitely differences. And as playing on both, the joystick wise, don't bother me either way. You get used to one and switching to the other may give you a few minutes of an issue, but otherwise for me, I'm good. I'm not really pressing the back button much. I'm not pressing the select button on the PS2 much. I'm not pressing the share button much. I'm not sure what you're actually pressing that button a lot for, honestly.
when you're okay, so you're sitting there messing with it as a test. When you're actually playing in game, and the game uses the bar itself, the sensor bar, as a thing for you to press to open up menus and stuff like that. There has been
That's
a lot of
fair.
times where I will go to move my finger off the joystick to go press it, and in the process of pressing it, I'll also hit the share button as well on accident because of how close it is to the thing. Not only that, but also just the fact that it's a share button. It's not needed. Like on Xbox, it has a recording feature. It does the exact same thing as PlayStation. You press the home button on the Xbox, on the Xbox One button. You press the home button and you press X, and it records your clip. Home button and Y take a screenshot. There's no need for a share button. All you gotta do is make it so you press the PlayStation button real quick, and then boom, press whatever button to correspond to it, the screenshot, and do record. You're good to go. There's no need for a share button. It's not needed. Not only that, but also when I was playing the Call of Duty beta, there were times where like I would go to where the freaking sensor bar button or whatever was pressed a fair amount because that's how you check the scoreboard. And not only did I do it, but my friends that came over to play did it too. We all would hit the share button on accident trying to check the scoreboard real quick because we go up, press it real quick to check the score, and then go off of it. But in the process, we'd also accidentally hit the share button trying to close out of it really quick just because of how fast we was hitting it.
That's fair. You know, I'm also comparing the Xbox 360 and PS4 controller weight-wise with the batteries and without the batteries, and I feel like the PS4 controller is lighter either way, but I definitely get your point with the share button. I definitely get your point with the charging. Not everyone has a super long cord. We have 10-foot cords and longer cords that we frequently buy. They don't last a super long time, but as long as you don't fuck with it too much, it'll last a few months. And that's what we use, and that's what I use for the PS4 when I play it. But I try and if you play for a long time, it's definitely an issue. I can see that. But do I like the batteries either? I just wish it was always charged. That would be my ideal.
See, I wouldn't have a problem with the PS4 if they had a way to, even if it had a battery pack. Now on Xbox, there's a thing where you can buy battery packs to keep on a charger to keep them charged. It's not even the fact of just having AA batteries. I wouldn't mind a battery pack for the PlayStation either. Just let me have the ability to swap it out without having to plug it up. I either have to entirely swap the controller out, or I have to plug it up. But I would just much prefer being able to pop the back off of it and put in a battery pack, or for the people that want to hardwire it, let them have the battery pack in there that, that way they can just plug it up and charge it as they're playing. That way they can still have the sensation that they have now with the PlayStation 4 controller when it starts to die on them. But for the people like me who it's a piss off, I can swap it out. Give us options.
Options are good. I support all the options. If it was just as simple as, okay, there's this kind of controller that doesn't have a battery pack and it's the way it is now, or there's a PS4 or PS5 controller with a battery pack. Options are good. These are doable things.
Actually, fun fact that since you don't have an Xbox One, Wes, you might not know this, but the Xbox 360 controller is actually heavier than the Xbox One controller.
I'd assume so. I'd assume Microsoft would have lightened it up a bit. I mean, it's not a heavy controller, but you can definitely tell that one weighs more than the other.
Oh, okay, so I guess do you still have your 360 controller in your hand?
I just grabbed it.
Okay, so the back of it, the big bulky block part in the back of it where you put the batteries into it?
Yep.
That does not exist on the Xbox One controller. That is gone. Instead, there is a plating that you slide off of it, and you put the batteries in there. And the whole, I'll send a picture to you in the in our Discord, or well, I guess your Discord. My bad, but whatever. You get the gist of it.
All good, man.
And you can see kind of what I'm talking about here. As you can see,
the chat is a Discord for all. Let's see here.
As you can, it's uploading, but as you can tell, there is that back is gone entirely.
I see that.
And then here is what the port looks like, where you plug a headset into it, so you can take a look at that as well. It's still
I have an
similar.
off-topic question when you're done.
What is up? Go for it.
I'm looking at the first picture you sent me.
Correct.
And I'm seeing two different kind of water bottles in the background. Why are there two different brands of water bottles in the background?
Because whenever we go to the store and buy water, we usually tend to buy whatever they have. And we usually tend to buy more than one case at a time, so we don't have to constantly go back to get water. And we get our water from Food Line. So when we went to buy our cases of water, we usually buy 2 cases every 3 weeks to a month, is usually how long they last. And when we went up there, they had a sale on water, and they was actually sold out of all of their water, and they had 1 case of Food Line brand water left and a case of Dasani water left. So we bought
Very
1
fair.
case of each. And over, not this weekend, but last week, towards Friday, my buddy came over, and the Food Line water bottle belonged to him. The Dasani belonged to me. We decided to get separate water bottles so we could tell whose was who.
That is a very good reason to have 2 different brands of water bottles. I was just curious. I don't know why it was something I noticed, but it was something I noticed and figured would be interesting to ask about.
And if you look at that second picture or whatever, you'll see the headset port or whatever. And
I do.
But yeah, that is the sole reason why we have the water bottles. Normally we buy Normally that doesn't happen too often. It has happened in the past, but it doesn't happen often.
Very fair. That's very interesting. I look forward to seeing how the new generation, because I don't think we know anything about when Xbox is releasing theirs. But now that Sony has announced, okay, the holiday season of 2020, that's when Microsoft is going to be like, well, you know what? Around the same time, we have our new console.
I am actually planning on buying an Xbox Scarlet over the PS5. I'm staying true to my nature. I am picking the Xbox over the PS5, mainly because of the price differences. Xbox has said that they're releasing 2 console versions of Scarlet. Now, whoever listens to this, you guys can actually fact check me if you want, because at the time of this recording, this is what I had read. Okay, so it might not be true anymore, and it might be a fact of at the time period it was more hearsay than anything, just because, you know, there's not much at the time period known about Project Scarlet, other than Microsoft, from what I've read, is going to release 2. They're going to release a not as powerful version and a much more powerful version. And the reason they're doing this is so everyone can experience the upgraded hardware, but there's going to be, let's say, like a more luxury premium version that has better hardware inside of it than the lesser version. And that is going to be what's going on with that. And the most expensive version of it is actually going to be $600. I have heard the PS5 was originally going to be $1,000. But they promised they're going to drop the price down, but they've not said how much.
I fucking hope they drop it. I mean, either way, I'm not getting a new console day 1. I'm not getting a new console month 1. I don't even know if I'll get a console year 1. We will see.
I have a phone call, so you might have to ramble a little bit until I'm back.
That is perfectly acceptable. I have a go-to topic for this. Well, there's no more guests for a little bit. The Disney Channel is closing in Australia, New Zealand, and other countries after Disney Plus launches. This is an fortunate or unfortunate side effect of Disney Plus. assuming they actually launch Disney Plus, as this says, in all these countries, all the Disney content you will want to watch will be on Disney Plus. So you don't really need the Disney Channel anymore. Especially if, for no reason, I assume they'll make more money doing this and attract more people to Disney Plus by closing the Disney Channel in these countries. I want to ask people that live in Australia, because I do know a few of my Australian online friends, see how they feel, if they have any thoughts on the Disney Channel. They may not. I'm pretty sure I've asked them all about Disney Plus on the podcast, and they don't really have much of an opinion. But we will see. I look forward to seeing how that goes. And 60% of Netflix's global audience watches the service's content for children and families, TV shows, and movies. I believe that when it boils down to, okay, Netflix is a good, as I talked about in the last episode with Hop, Netflix dominates. It's the number one used thing on the internet. And I think it's a good way to online babysitter for free. Well, for a monthly fee, but, you're probably watching stuff on Netflix as well. But 60% of the global audience watching the service's content for children and families, TV shows, and movies. I want to know the definition of a family TV show and movie. Because that could be a lot of things, and I've seen people speculate, oh, does that include, like, The Office? Does that not include something like The Office? And I think that's a good specification to really understand what that means. Because I feel like I would consider Game of Thrones a family TV show. I watched that with a family, or I did watch that with a family, and that's, I don't think that's what they're going for with a family TV show and movie. But, I watch Game of Thrones with the family, so it depends what definition of family TV show and movie we're going with, that this makes sense or doesn't make sense. But could I see it being 60% either way? Maybe. With the amount of parents that it's just kind of easier to be like, okay, I don't want to deal with this brat anymore. Here you go. Watch your favorite thing on Netflix and be out of our hair. Just sit here and watch it. Be peaceful. Just relax for a moment and watch this programming on the Netflix. I can definitely see that perspective from the parent's view. What would be interesting is if you could pinpoint whether the 60% was primarily children watching the children and families content, or if it's more of a variety than you would think. That also goes back to what do you define as a family TV show and movie. But I definitely am very interested in that stat. I wish we'd get more clarification. Without more clarification, it's hard to really go beyond that. And good old AT&T, everyone's favorite AT&T. Everyone loves AT&T. It's everyone's favorite. AT&T is on the podcast this week because they raised their prices by 7%. And why, do you ask? Would they raise their prices by 7%? What great reason do they have for charging you, the loyal customer that would never ever complain about AT&T? You're so loyal. Well, they're increasing the price by 7%. That way you can pay for AT&T's property taxes. That's fun. That's just why you want a price increase. 7%. What's 7% of a bill? Just a few hundred pennies, It'll only kinda break the bank over time. You'd hate to see that stat in 10 years of, 7% increase for those property taxes. What do you know? Good old property tax. I feel like AT&T does a lot of things to paint themselves in bad light. AT&T needs to they need to breathe in, breathe out. They need to sit down on their throne of cash and be like, how can I say thank you to the consumer that has given me this throne of cash? How can I support them and their time of need? How can I make their day better? Well, clearly increasing your price by 7%, fucking around with the internet for them, that makes them happy. That's what you should do. I mean, the next step, if you're AT&T and you think about it and you just contemplate it in your desk, you're like, oh, make more money, make the customers happy. Make more money, make the customers happy. I mean, I guess.
So what are we talking about?
The thing to do, if you're AT&T that raised the price by 7%, by making its customers pay AT&T's property tax to truly make the customers happy. You want to increase that from 7% to 70%. That'll really make the customers happy. That'll make you happy on your throne of cash. That'll make the customers happy. Win-win.
I actually really like AT&T just because of how good of service that I have with them.
I was just trashing them.
Yeah, I kind of figure when you see, I've never lost cell service ever with AT&T. I've never. Well, I mean, you had this conversation the other day. I've never lost service with AT&T ever. I have been all over the place, and I have not one single time ever lost service with them, aside from the dead zones where every provider goes out.
Absolutely. I've never had AT&T, so I'm mostly just fucking around by trashing them, but at the same time, enough people unhappy with AT&T that, I'm sure I'm justified while they sit on their throne of cash, contemplating how to make the customers happy or make themselves more money.
I mean, every service provider has their problems.
Absolutely. So, when we get moved, we'll have Mediacom, and the biggest thing you hear about Mediacom is they have outages.
Yeah, I've never heard anything good about them. I mean, is that the only service provider that you can get?
Yes, sir. Because we're not actually fixing the problem. I mean, Mediacom, they have an 80% uptime, according to whatever place that does the yearly uptime thing. So at least 4/5 of the year I'll have internet, but when it fucks with my schedule, because apparently 1/5 of the time it could possibly have an outage, But 80%'s better than 0%, and that's the mindset I've been trying to put myself in. It's better than 0.
So I just checked my internet service provider, and their uptime rating is 99.99%.
Look up Mediacom's, just for clarification. I had 80%, but I don't know if that's an accurate number or not. That's just the number I seen when I was researching. But I wasn't researching for the podcast, just for my own personal think tank. I know it's lower. It ain't gonna be that high. And it don't have to be a 2018 stat. I'm okay if it's a 2016 stat or whatever. Take what you can get.
Let's see.
Do.
Yeah,
I don't know why I default to Indiana Jones.
I'm sorry it's taken so long to actually find this or whatever.
Oh, it's okay, man.
It appears to be that in 2019, apparently the uptime for it currently is at a 90% with all reported outages for Mediacom, 91% is internet, 5% is just entire blackout across the board, and 2% being TV.
Well, you know.
So apparently Mediacom has gotten a little bit better with a 90% instead of an 80 for 2019. That's a 2019 report.
That's good. 90% is a lot better than 80. I'll give it that. I mean, that's still 36 days of the year that you could possibly have no internet. But 90 is a lot better than 0. So, that's good. Hopefully it won't fuck with me too much. If it's going to be hard to have a streaming schedule and have to end it and be like, well, you know, Mediacom, the god Mediacom, has dictated that today's stream is no longer available.
Whenever you get your internet, are you still going to do the podcasts, or are you just going to completely?
Yes, I am. I talked about this at the very beginning. Future ideas I've had for the podcast and debating the pros and cons. I've thought about making it a video podcast, making it live weekly, a combination of the two. But I see the cons with it. If you do video, you either have to get people's icon, because I talked about this at the beginning, but I bring on smaller content creators, and not all of them are willing to show their face, and I'm perfectly okay with that. If I ever went to video, it wouldn't be a requirement, but I could absolutely see it being a video podcast, it potentially turning more people off of wanting to be a guest, and that would be understandable. I'd get that. And I felt the same way about it being live. Maybe some people wouldn't want to be on it live, and that also would limit me, because you either, if you did it live every week, you have two options. And doing it live, like when we're recording right now, there's not much point in that, honestly.
I mean, whenever you're doing it live, I'll go ahead and tell you now, if you want, I can come on every time you go live or whatever, just to give you someone to talk to along with your other guests. I actually do live stuff better than pre-recorded, because with pre-recorded stuff or whatever, it's one of those situations where it's like, I guess the best way I could explain this, let's see, how can I put it? With live stuff, I'm more self-conscious of what I'm saying and how I'm doing things. And I can come up with better conversations on the spot live than pre-recorded, because pre-recorded I know can be edited in the event I slip up. And I feel like I get better conversations from myself with people live.
That's interesting. But I don't know what I'll end up doing. I don't know if it'll stay on Tuesdays either, because I want to kind of do a 5-day-a-week thing where I stream 3 days, the podcast is 1 day, and a YouTube video. I want 5 days of the week to be that. I don't know if it'll stay on Tuesdays or not. The Tuesday experiment, I haven't really checked in to see if that's really had change in anything.
Well, hopefully, whenever that time comes, I'll actually be able to start making YouTube videos again. I don't know if I've told you or not, but I have actually had to put our channel on hold
I've heard.
Yeah, it's pretty much indefinite at the moment in time period. I have been having a lot of health issues, and I'm not able to edit the videos and get them out. I'm simply just not been able to. I have been, for the last month, I have been bedridden probably over half of it.
Well, even while you're going through all that, you're always welcome on the podcast, and I always enjoy the game nights. You know, I think we have good times.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
I need to stop doing Indiana Jones music. I'm self-conscious. I don't know why I default to Indiana Jones. Honestly, I've only watched I haven't even watched all of them. I've only watched them once, and they're not my favorite movie or anything, but the music is catchy. And for whatever reason, I'm currently defaulting to it.
Hey, whatever works, right?
Whatever works. But yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with the podcast. It's definitely gonna stay alive, and it'll be easier to do once I get moved, because it won't be this, oh, I'm on my phone, I'm having this, maybe my mic doesn't pick up for the guest, maybe there's issues because of my 4G, those issues will go away and it'll improve the quality a little bit. Probably not too much on the actual final product, but for actually recording it, I think it'll do a lot better. But I don't know what actual changes and such I'll do. I still have probably another month or two to think about it.
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm sure, I don't know if you're open to suggestions or not, but I'm sure we'll talk about this more so off of, an actual podcast, just sit down and talk about it as well, just going forward. But, I mean, you said just plan on doing live streams. What kind of live stream are you wanting to do?
Gaming. I stopped doing Let's Plays on YouTube, back in 2017 because I decided that I'd prefer to do it live. I think that'll be the better experience both for me personally, and it'll still achieve the goal I wanted to achieve back when I was still in high school and I had the idea. It's the same idea, to play the games that I never got a chance to play, and just do it live. I think I strive in those environments. I think I'm great at performing. I think that's a skill I have, especially on a video or a stream. I think that is where I shine compared to videos, what I want to do with the video, my idea is stream 3 days a week, because you don't want to stream every day. People may say that's a good idea, but if you're first starting out and you want to get those early viewers to be more consistent showing up, you don't want to drain them every day. That's not going to be the tactic to go with. You want to keep it to a few days, and then plus, you don't want to burn yourself out. And once you're making a lot of money, once you have like a lot of viewers, and you want to extend it to however long, you have more room. But if you're a small streamer, I think 3 days is probably a good spot to start with. And I want to do 3 days of gaming. I want to do 2 games a stream. That way there's a halfway, 5-10 minute break in between. That way I could get a drink, quickly get something to eat, go to the bathroom, and have
Crack open a crispy Dr. Pepper.
Oh, that'll be happening during the games. I'm gonna have my mini fridge. It's gonna be clink, open, drink. And then at the end of the streams, I want to have just a chat session, just talking with the chat, bonding, spend 15 plus minutes doing that. I imagine the streams will be 5+ hours, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. I'm sure it'll be adjustments. I imagine whatever I go in thinking, whatever I end up deciding, even days that I stream will probably change in the first couple months as I learn. Because you can do a lot of planning. I'm great at planning, but until you actually start executing and be like, okay, you have to go through the trial and error phase and be like, okay, this works for me, this works for the viewers, this doesn't work for me, this doesn't work for the viewers. It's an interesting thing to go through. It'll be an interesting process that I look forward to. But I want to do that. Keep the podcast going because I really enjoy the podcast. It's why I did one tonight, although I didn't have a guest lined up. But it's just okay. I don't want to skip a week. I have topics I want to talk about, so let's just do it. And I opened it up to the Discord, and what do you know? Returning guest.
Oh, it's like I said before, I'm always down to actually be on the podcast. I am. The reason it took me so freaking long to get on is because right at, when did this start? 3 my time? Okay. So right at 3 o'clock, I had a phone call from my mother. She works third shift. She gets breaks at 11 p.m., 1 a.m., and 3 a.m. She gets 10-minute breaks. She spends those breaks on the phone with me. So she called me at 3, and the first 10 minutes of the 45 minutes, that's where I was. Then
Yep.
my dad wakes up, and that's when he leaves for work, is at 3. So I was spending time with him until he left. And then after he left, I come back, sit down, and that's when I joined.
I am absolutely 100% good with that. Like, why I started so late is my mom got off work at 1. And I wanted to chat with her, see how her day went at work, and have that time. Took that time, got ready to do the podcast, and then I started shortly after. And I got to do both things I wanted to do. Make sure I kept that connection, and then made sure I got a podcast out this week. Because for the record, it's 4:31. I still have a couple topics left that I want to talk about. And I'm going to be up at 10. Regardless of if I actually go to sleep or not, I'll be up at 10.
Why do you got to be up at 10?
So I can watch some shows with my mom.
Fantastic.
Since she works 4 to 1 now, 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. We watch shows generally around the 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. zone. So instead, we'll be doing that in the mornings. So, yep, I'll be up at 10. Regardless, I'm gonna edit this after we're done with this. It shouldn't be a lot of editing, really. But yeah, I don't know what I will do with the podcast, but it'll absolutely continue. If nothing else, it'll still be the audio podcast that I do weekly and I release everywhere. That'll be the bare minimum that happens.
You could do 2 different podcast series. You could do the BS podcast that you release like you're doing now, and then have a live podcast or whatever segment that is entirely different. And for the live one, maybe just open it up to whoever's in the Discord wants to come on like you've done tonight. Just for whoever wants to come on for a chat. So you don't have to worry about having a guest for it. Instead, you start it up, and that way you can talk with the viewers and whoever's on the Discord. If they want to pop along, they can come on live and just, whoever comes on as a guest, and then just have the chat come on and just all talk.
And I think there's some middle ground there. Maybe it's not starting a second podcast. Maybe it's not every episode is live. Maybe just certain episodes are live. 'Cause, I mean, I want the freedom to be able to get guests from around the world still. I've got guests from Australia, the United Kingdom, all throughout Europe, India. I want to be able to continue doing that. And me personally, I have the available time that we can record whenever. But not every time would work live. Like tonight. This is not the ideal stream time. This is the least amount of viewers on Twitch. It's basically right now. Because everyone's asleep. And that's just kind of how it is. So I could see doing some episodes live. I could see. And especially if the Discord idea, for better or worse, I'll definitely try it again. More scheduled instead of being a day of thing. That'll probably be the way to go about it. But I think there's a middle ground to doing a little bit of A and a little bit of B.
Well, whatever occurs, I'm sure I'll be back.
Absolutely. I'm absolutely sure you will be back. So, the next topic I had, I went over a couple. What were we talking about before you had your phone call? Was that something we needed to finish? I don't remember.
I think we had just finished the topic because as I had the phone call, you started talking about Disney. I think it was.
Oh, okay. Well,
I believe we finished.
I went through topics that weren't super important, but were things that were interesting to talk about. The Witcher show they're doing on Netflix?
Yeah, it looks. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, the main dude that's playing, how do you say his name? Is it Gerald? Is the T actually
Geralt.
a D?
It's Geralt.
Okay. I figured I'd get that wrong. I tried. I've
It's
never
worth
played the Witcher games. My
fantastic
fault.
series. You need to pick up Witcher 3 and play
I
it
own
on
them all.
PS4. Play them. At least play 3. Even you
Once
don't have.
I'm streaming. Once I'm streaming.
I'm going to tell you now, 1 and 2 don't make for very good streams. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you now. That might be something you might want to do in your own time. People get very, very bored of 1 and 2.
We'll see. As I said, experimenting, you know. But Henry Cavill, or however the fuck you say his last name, I assume it's Cavill. I don't know how else you'd say that. Said he lived and breathed the Witcher games as preparation for the character. I'd take that as a good sign that he's taking it seriously. He appears to be a big video game fan, from everything I've seen. So, but I didn't think he did a good job in Superman. I don't know if that's just because the Superman character is dull or if he's dull. I haven't seen him in anything else. So, this will be a good test for him. I'm sure I'll eventually watch the Witcher Netflix series, but it won't be a week one thing, I imagine.
Where is it going to be showing at?
Netflix.
See, I don't have
I roll
Netflix.
from. Yeah.
I don't have Netflix.
Will you get Netflix for a month for The Witcher?
I personally do not have the spare funds. If I can find someone who will let me use their Netflix, I will watch it. But
Fair.
I do not have the spare funds to dedicate to Netflix, which is why I don't have it now. If I had the money
Very
for
fair.
it, I would definitely have it. I've kind of always hopped. In the past, I've had friends that have let me use theirs throughout the time period. And, I mean, I don't expect people to obviously let me use their Netflix. That's not something that I expect of anyone. But, you know, it's one of those things where in the past people have let me use it. So if I can find someone that is generous enough to let me use their Netflix, I will sign into it on my computer and give it a try. I do want to see the Witcher show. I love the games. I'd say Witcher 3 is probably one of the top 5 best RPGs ever made.
Very nice. I look forward to playing them. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Have you watched or care about South Park?
Yes and no. Yes and also no to both of those.
Very fair. Well, you don't need to have watched it to understand this. So, South Park recently did their 300th episode in their new season. And South Park has been scrubbed from the internet in China because in their 300th episode, they both mocked and said fuck the Chinese government. And of course, after their whole show got scrubbed from the internet in China, the creators of South Park, of course, they had to issue an apology. So, of course, being the creators of South Park, they made a mocking apology.
That was very fantastic.
And
the whole thing.
Of course, if people are aware of the Hong Kong China thing, Hong Kong screened the banned episode of South Park. They made sure to spread it, you know? Hong Kong doing the part. And the last little bit of interesting things that is on the very petty side and continued to show China in a bad light. Superstar German DJ is permanently banned from China. You wanna know what he did?
What?
He liked a South Park tweet. Now he is permanently banned from the country.
Fantastic. 30 out of 10.
I love this. I love this, that South Park just doing their typical mockery. Fuck the Chinese government. China, of course, fragile ego.
I know that back before they got rid of it, PUBG. At the start of PUBG, when you're in the plane, you used to have voice chat enabled so you could hear everybody in the lobby.
Yep.
the number one thing to say in that brief time period was China #1. And that's all you would hear the whole entire time because people taking the piss out of China. It was the greatest thing ever. And of course, because PUBG's biggest player base is based in China, they of course had to do something about it. And so now you're no longer to have voice chat in the beginning, which is sad and it sucks, but whatever,
Oh, I have to say this. We're gonna go way back. We're gonna go like an hour and a half back to Call of Duty Mobile. So, there's this censoring is very fucking silly. Things like, what was it? Fight? What was the other word? Fight, is it sucks? Was also censored completely. They have a very fucking silly censor system. It's like, I don't know what they're catering to, considering what the game is. Are they literally catering to a 5-year-old? Because that's what the censor is treating it like. And, I don't know if we talked about this. I know I talked to it about with Bolt. But I did a test. Just because I wanted to see what would happen. I typed in Republican. And I typed in Democrat.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And one of them did get censored. And the other one did not. And see, the key here is you gotta censor both or censor neither. Censoring one shows what side you're on and shows your bad bias. It does not make you look good. Republican was censored. Democrat was not. That's not a good look.
No, it's
not at all. They have a silly fucking censor system. It's really silly. And China and their censorship and what we were talking about just reminded me of Call of Duty and Activision.
So, fun fact about the Chinese censorship that you might not know involving gaming. You might not. I don't know. If you play with someone from China, like you know for a fact they're connected overseas, like they're playing online in China, correct?
Uh-huh.
It has to be typed. They can't be set over voice because obviously there's not a censor. But in the chat, the actual game chat, if you type in Tiananmen Square 1989 in chat, any Chinese players will instantly get disconnected and kicked off their internet because of it. Because of the whole, because of how China has their internet set up to censor, and because they don't want people in China knowing about Tiananmen Square in 1989, what happened. So they made it to where anytime that is brought up on the Chinese internet, it automatically blocks it. Meaning, Chinese players get kicked off of games. I have seen it happen in several different games over the time span of playing. And there's even some games that have it set up to where the player themselves will actually get banned.
Fun. China's silly. They're very silly with their censorship.
I've been seeing a lot of memes about that where it's like, you know how we had like back in 1979 or whenever, or 17, whatever the fuck it was, we got our, independence.
Yep.
And, it was, the whole, I've been seeing a lot of memes where people's been putting, fucking Chinese, the whole Chinese fucking freedom thing, or it's like America 2, the electric boogaloo type deal and stuff like that. Sticking with it.
Yep,
I've been finding that pretty amusing.
And you know what I like about South Park at the end of the day?
What?
They'll take the piss out of pretty much everyone. They have their biases. Everyone does. But they'll take the piss out of mostly everyone. Won't apologize for it. Or if they do, it'll be a mocking apology. And I love those. If you're gonna fuck with people and mock them, you gotta double down. And I approve. And even like people talk about, South Park's been going on forever. Well, that's why last season they had hashtag cancel South Park, and that was the theme of their season.
Dude, you know how many times South Park's actually been canceled, but it keeps getting brought back?
It's gonna live forever. The only way that South Park will legitimately die is if they have more seasons where they base it off politics and they predict the winner and they plan for one winner for a whole season story, like they did with Clinton and Trump, and then they're wrong, and so they look stupid. That's the only way that the show gets canceled, if they keep doing stuff like that, because nobody liked that, because they looked like idiots.
See, South Park is hilarious in its own right, but earlier when you asked me if I watched South Park and liked it or whatever, I like South Park, I like the concept of it, and I like the comedy behind it, but at the same time, it's those exact reasons that I also don't like it, because I feel like a lot of their comedy and stuff like that I've kind of outgrown, and I just don't laugh at it like I used to. I don't really find it as funny per se. Not that it's not funny, it's just, it don't really hit me the way it does. And
Absolutely fair.
There's one South Park episode is my favorite South Park episode of all time. It is always, it always will be probably, but it's the World of Warcraft episode they done. That was hands down my favorite episode that South Park has ever done, and always will be probably.
I still enjoy South Park. I enjoy most episodes. Nothing is 100% hit for me. Whether it's music, movies, TV show, episodes, nothing's 100% for me. But I enjoy South Park for the most part. Some other comedies dumb, but such is with comedy. Not everything's a hit. So, the last topic that is not talked about yet, ironically, goes with the theme we've been talking about. It is another China topic. Chinese citizens will soon need to scan their face before they can access internet services or get a new phone number.
Wow.
Yowie wowie.
All I can say to that is wow.
Pretty much. Welcome to China. Soon to be the number one superpower of the world, if not already.
China number one, I guess. Fuck. I don't.
China number one.
That is ridiculous.
What, you don't like their social system thing? You don't like their internet censorship? You don't like scanning your face? Gee, such a China hater. China number one.
I mean, I will admit, Chinese girls are pretty hot, but that's about the only thing they got going on for them right now, dude.
Go to Japan. Just go to Japan.
I mean, I love Japan. Japan's lit.
I enjoyed Japanese wrestling, but that's about my exposure to Japanese stuff, because I don't consider it
Isn't that sumo wrestling?
No. I assume didn't sumo wrestling start in Japan? That may be a thing, but that's not what I'm talking about with Japanese wrestling.
Is there like an actual WWE but for Japanese?
Yeah. New Japan Pro Wrestling for the men, and Stardom for the women. Because in Japan, their culture separates by gender. But
They do.
Everyone seems happy with it. So, who am I to judge?
I mean, I feel like we need a lot of that here in America, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And you notice, and this goes for TV shows, like Survivor, where, sure, some of it's scripted, not everything's real, of course, such is life. But you'll notice, like, a common theme among any show like that, you'll form this gender-based alliance. You segregate yourself, naturally. And you may not even realize it. But in most of these shows, you can notice a trend of people segregating themselves based on something. Whether that be, we all like gaming, so we all get along, so we segregate ourselves away from everyone else. We're all males or females, so we segregate ourselves in this corner. That's a common thing you'll see on TV shows.
Yeah,
and that's what it kind of boils down to in real life.
I mean, I guess it's kind of always, nature really kind of has a way of doing that. Like, the male and the females have always been, I mean, there's definite defining features of both genders that it separates. I mean, there's a reason we are what we are, you know?
Yep.
But, I don't know. I've always wanted to visit Japan. I've always wanted to visit Germany. I've always wanted to visit a lot of places, but I don't know if I actually ever will or not because of being honest with you. The main reason I don't want to go to these other places is because of the food.
Oh.
Something you may not know is every place prepares their food differently in terms of how it's cooked and stuff like that. When you travel to these other countries and eat there, you are almost guaranteed to get sick and have diarrhea and vomiting the first 2 to 3 nights that you are visiting another country because your body isn't used to the germs that is in the food. It's not necessarily a stomach virus type germ, or it's not harmful germs that'll make you sick, but it is just because of how it is cooked and prepared. Your body's not used to it. So I don't want to go to these other places simply because I just don't want to deal with getting sick for the first few nights. That is the only thing other than money holding me back.
That is very fair. I can't argue with that at all. That's an absolutely fair reason. But at the same time, if you were to be rich suddenly, and you could afford to go there for like a month, then you just kind of have to get it out, get it over with, and then adjust.
Yeah.
That'd be the way to go. If you're just there for like a few days and you spend like all that time having diarrhea, that sucks.
Yeah, that wouldn't be no fun. But if you're able to go for a month or two at a time, that's a bit of a different story. But if you're taking a week-long trip somewhere, you're probably going to spend half the time in the bathroom just because your body's not used to the food. That's a lot of money to spend on a toilet trip.
Very fair. That is absolutely very fair.
Actually, you know what? I've actually got another topic for us to talk about if you're up for it.
Sure, hit me with it.
Healthy snack foods.
Oof.
And how they are starting to affect America. Because when you think of America, you think of these greasy, unhealthy cheeseburgers, fat people walking around. I've noticed here recently, and this has been more so in the last few months to this year recent. This is a really recently occurring thing. I've noticed that people are starting to pick healthy snack foods over chips and junk food and unhealthy food more and more. Like when I'm in the stores and stuff like that and looking at people's buggies, I'm noticing they're picking up things like I've got a bag of roasted chickpeas here that are really good for you. I'm noticing people getting things like sunflower seeds, non-salted seeds like sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds and stuff like that. And they're starting to put back chips and they're getting cans of nuts and stuff like that. And I'm noticing people are starting to buy more and more fruit than they was before. And like whereas before I would see people, they would be going down the soda aisle buying soda. Now I'm seeing people come out with cases of water and other healthier drink options. And I'm noticing people are starting to put back more chips. Like I'm noticing more chips and stuff like that. And I'm seeing where the ice cream aisles is not as empty as they used to be. And instead the frozen fruit section and stuff like that, frozen veggie section is starting to become more and more empty. And I'm just noticing that overall America seems to be starting to get healthier. And I'm curious about your thoughts on this and what you think about that. And do you think that America will actually completely convert over in time, or do you think it's just a spur of the moment thing that's starting to?
I feel like this is a very good trend if it actually continues and it can show like, oh, we're this ranked obese country out there, and oh, we're suddenly on average starting to lose some weight because we're picking healthier options. And I mean, I think the biggest thing, like, would people pick healthier food over junk food if it tastes good or if it's affordable? I feel like these are two common obstacles with healthy snack foods. And so if we can figure out, and if we have figured out, how to balance these things out so we can actually pick healthier, I don't think people are picking junk food just because it's junk food. There's a reason why we pick junk food over healthy food, because it tastes better or it's cheaper or whatever.
This is very true. And now I don't know if this is true for every state, but here in my state, fruit prices are extremely affordable. Like most produce, like most like of the fruit in the produce section, range anywhere from 79 cents to $1 to buy. And that could be partially the reason why people are starting to put down the chips and stuff, because the bag of chips is like $2 or $3, whereas you can get like a bag of oranges for like $1 or $2. So around the same price, but the oranges are healthier for you, and arguably oranges taste better than chips, to me at least. They're a bit more filling.
That.
They're a bit more filling and stuff. So, you know, with that being the case, you can get a bag of grapes for like, I think our grapes are like $1.79, $2, something like that. And you can get a bag of broccoli for a couple dollars. You can get you can get a thing of carrots for a couple dollars. You can get a whole case of water now at Walmart for I think it was $2.50, $2.60, something like that. A whole case, as opposed to paying like $2.59 for a 2-liter Mountain Dew, Coca-Cola, something like that. You get a whole case of water for about the same price, and is a much healthier option. So,
hot damn.
yeah, dude. It wasn't that long ago. Well, I guess it was a while actually, but when I was younger, my parents had sent me into Lowe's Hardware. It was around Christmas time. They sent me in there to get a bottle of water. I was really thirsty, and my dad was already in the store, and so I was like, okay. So I went there and I looked at the bottle of water, and the bottle of water was $2.49. They had pallets of water stacked up for the same price as the bottle of water in the fridge. So I just went ahead and bought a whole case. I come out, my mom's mouth dropped. She said, "What the hell?" And I was like, I can get a 40 case of water for the price of one bottle of water. I mean, it's asinine to try and do otherwise.
Exactly.
And so I'm really I'm really happy to see a healthier trend. I'm happy to see people picking the healthier options. I've also noticed people are buying more cheeses than in the past, which cheese isn't the healthiest thing, but it is at the same time. And if people was to buy like the things of cheese or whatever, like they're circular cheese, like not sticks, but kind of like the string cheese where you can pull them apart.
Yeah.
If people was to start buying those and apples and stuff to snack on instead of chips and other junk foods, I feel like we could really do something with that. I feel like America could really change for the better if people was to really continue that.
I can completely agree with that. I mean, apple slices can be good for a snack. I mean, I personally can enjoy some carrots too. I do prefer
I'll some carrots.
Yeah, I'm more into the soft carrot. Probably because I've always had bad teeth and now have no teeth. But I can have cold carrots that are hard too. But I just prefer the taste. Same way I prefer soft bacon over crunchy bacon. You know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Although bacon is not a health food.
No, not even close. Tastes good though.
It does. It really does. But I absolutely agree with healthy snack options becoming a bigger thing. I think it's for the better of everyone, especially because the thing is, and I talk about it a lot. You don't have to have the shield up like with the plant-based food. It's just a different flavor. Go into it thinking about it as a different flavor, not I'm either gonna have plant-based beef or actual beef. You can't have both. I must pick a side. No, it's a different flavor.
Yeah, it is. Although arguably, plant-based hamburgers and stuff like that, they're just not as good as regular beef. Sadly,
Different flavor.
yeah, it's a different flavor, but I don't think it's as. I don't think that we've not figured out how to make plant-based meat as good as actual meat. Like, I agree it's a different flavor, but I don't think it's as good of a flavor.
And that's probably true. It's in its early stages. Hopefully, it gets better. And that's the thing. You've had Beyond Meats. You've had what's the other one? Beyond Meats and cause Beyond Meats did the KFC one. What is the other one? I hate that I don't know it.
There's Burger King's freaking Whopper thing they got.
I was talking about, of course, you have the plant-based stuff and how that's going to progress, and then you have the lab-grown stuff that's apparently a thing. There hasn't been a full-on brand doing it yet, but that's the thing. I don't know much about it, lab-grown meat. I don't know how to feel about it yet, because I don't know much about it.
See, my only thing is, them doing this kind of stuff, is it going to put farmers out of business? That's where my concern lies.
Very fair. That is a good concern. I don't know. At the same time, what do we... Okay, I know the answer, so that's a stupid question. I was going to say, what do we value more? The farmer's job or the animals that are being killed for food? Obviously, humans gonna pick the farmers. Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Cow killers. Jerks. But at the same time, it just really depends. You know, it goes back to, we always talk about, or not us specifically, but people always talk about like, automation is gonna take away people's jobs. Well, if you look at the jobs that were available 100 years ago compared to now, a lot of those jobs don't exist anymore. And that ain't a problem because new jobs come with new things. And while farmers, that may be different. They may have to find something else, potentially. But I mean, it may just be less meat-based if lab-grown meat becomes a big thing, but it could also taste different, or it could taste better, because if it's lab-grown, you can modify it, you'd assume, to be someone's idea of perfect.
Honestly, who knows?
Yeah, that's why I wish I knew more about it. Oh, I think I also cut out what I was talking about, how we figured out the mystery to the bones.
I heard you say something about bones, and that was it.
Are you aware of that? Have we talked about the mystery of the bones?
Nope.
Oh, I think it was Flirty and I on episode 40. We talked about, I was confused, because I was listening to a Joe Rogan, this was, what, a month or two ago at this point? I was listening to a Joe Rogan experience, and it was off topic to what they were talking about, but it got me to thinking, like, I don't understand how bones are created from a sperm and an egg. I don't understand how that works. And Flirty didn't know. Who did I have after Flirty? They didn't know either. I think it was Billob. Billob didn't know either. Yeah. Philip didn't know either. Do you know the mystery of the bones? How do you get bones from a sperm and an egg? How does that work?
Well, best way to answer that question is you got to think the sperm and the sperm and the egg is just DNA. It's all information. That's all it is. So what's
God's greater plan?
What's happened here is so the DNA tells the egg that grows into the person how to grow. It is genetic. It's genetically coded into us to form not an exoskeleton, but a skeleton inside of us to allow us to function as normal people. It's just part of DNA and part of genetics. It's not necessarily because the sperm and the egg is what makes the bone. It's because of the genetics and the DNA stored inside of them.
That's crazy. That makes sense. It's better. I think Bilob said biology, or Flirty told me biology. No, biology ain't a good answer. I need more specifics. It's like DNA is just full. It's like coding, coding. It has to go in. The codes are gonna do its thing. It's gonna activate one thing after another and make a big thing. And there you go. I guess that's the answer to bones.
Enough so.
At least we solved the mystery. At least enough. In like a month. That's good. Maybe a month and a half. 2 months.
That's an interesting thing to wonder about.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't process how you get a sperm and an egg and it turns into solid bones. That just wasn't processing for me. But now that we have the answer, you can go check out some old videos from the Classy Gentlemen. You can always come back next week. Hopefully, it'll be an interesting episode. I have an idea for next episode. I don't know if it'll work or if the people involved will be interested. I have tried to get new guests on and had recent flops, which are fun. That's always a part of the guest getting game, Not everyone's going to want to be on, and some will watch your podcast and watch an episode and then decide that they don't want to be on. And that's okay. It ain't for everyone. I understand that. If you enjoyed this edition of the BS Podcast, please share it around. Sharing is caring. Sharing is a way this podcast is going to grow and continue to grow. Because, I see the stat on downloads, and we're getting more downloads every month now. It's quickly going up and up. And I appreciate that. I'm glad people are enjoying. I'm glad more and more people are enjoying. I do really enjoy doing the podcast. It's a fun few hours to talk about stuff I wouldn't otherwise get to talk about with people. And once you get a variety of people's perspectives, it's very interesting to me.
Classy Gentlemen will be back one day. We're just having a rough spot with some stuff, but we'll be back. But be sure to check out our other stuff if you want some comedic relief, I guess. We tried our best to be funny.
Well, I think the cover story you need to go with is that some of you, and I want you to phrase it like that, some of us are not being too classy of gentlemen right now. So,
yeah, it's my medical system.
Yeah, while we work on perfecting our classy gentleman status, we will be on hiatus until further notice. Because we are the classy gentlemen.
Of course. And if any of you enjoy listening to me and Wes bumble like idiots on this podcast, and you would like to interact with us on a more personal level, be sure to join the Discord, because I'm here, he's here, we're not going anywhere. Join it. You know you want to. You know you want to come and talk to us. You want to talk to us because you know we're crazy and you like that. Do it.
And you could be a part of our game nights. I've said it before. I've said it to you multiple times. I want to play Rento. It knockoff Monopoly. I want to play the knockoff Monopoly game in a game night sooner than later. I want to destroy friendships.
We'll have to see what transpires. But all you beautiful people out there that listen to this, join the Discord. Wes will leave a link to the Discord wherever he puts this crap. And you will click on it and you will join, because that's what you do. You enjoy us, you enjoy the podcast, and you enjoy the Discord. So just do it. Just click it. This isn't subtle advertisement. This is me telling you, do it. Just do it. You know you want to.
This isn't a request. This is a fucking demand.
Yeah, do it.
Great. That's great. Oh, also, at the very end, the best spot for advertising something. I'm sure the survey will be around. I'm sure I'll keep doing it for a bit. It gets one response every time, and I find it interesting. Every guest has gotten a 10 out of 10 so far.
Don't worry, all you beautiful people. I'm coming back regardless of if you vote me back or not. So just, you ain't even have to worry about me. I'm coming back, baby.
Hashtag cancel.
Fuck.
Peace out, everyone.